disaster
Wow.
for Okami. What a great performance from the boys in the end. Noble, back to the drawing board for them here in Oregon.
LIVIN started in 2013 after we lost a very good man in the name of Dwayne Lally to a mental illness. They say death by suicide affects 115 people, but you can't even put a number on it. The ripple effect that the loss of one life had on thousands of people far outweighed what I've ever experienced in my entire life.
I'd received a call saying he'd gone missing. I was driving around the whole of the Gold Coast looking for him. I had no idea where to find him.
Dwayne was an avid boxing man, very talented. Life of the party, very charismatic, extremely passionate.
Loving, loyal, he was very cheeky.
Mental illness is costing many people their lives every single day. While I'm sitting here speaking, people are taking their life, and it's because there's people suffering in silence.
1 in 5 people suffer from some form of mental illness, and suicide's the leading cause of death between the ages of 15 and 44.
You can look for things like not getting out of bed of a morning, being socially disconnected, loss of appetite, change in mood, change in behaviour, lack of self-esteem.
Dwayne suffered from depression and bipolar for a number of years, and the stigma kept him quiet. So we wanted to turn that negative into a positive, and if the shoe was on the other foot, I'm sure Dwayne would have done the same. We're just doing what he would have done.
Hi, my name's Dan Price. I don't know where I'd be if I didn't connect with LIVIN, but I certainly wouldn't be as well as I am today. I was suicidal and tried to take my life on the 4th of December 2014. I was very lucky to survive. I didn't want people to know that I was struggling because of the stigmas around mental illness.
We noticed that there were plenty of great service providers in this country, but all too common people weren't seeking help because of this stigma. So we wanted to bridge that gap.
As males, we're extremely tough. We want to be the tough people, the ones that have all the answers, the ones that don't want to admit our vulnerabilities and our weaknesses.
You might not have the answers, but if you can offer support and just listen to them, that could be what they need in that moment of time.
I was an alpha male and a popular guy, and I didn't want people to think I was weak, and that's why I love the message that LIVIN presents, which is it ain't weak to speak.
We go all around the country, businesses, sporting clubs, teaching people that it ain't weak to speak. What we're really doing is educating them in how to speak, where to speak, and then we're educating people on how to listen and how to look for these warning signs, because without one, you can't really have the other. It's all about being honest and open. If something's off, just ask them.
That's what LIVIN's all about, taking that stigma away and giving people hope, help, connection, and giving them the confidence to speak up and seek the help when they need it and when they deserve it.
We believe with education comes understanding, with understanding comes acceptance, and with acceptance comes hope.
I want to change the way the world understands, perceives and interprets mental health. Let's change the dynamics in which this is looked at. For far too long it's been a stigma. We're going to make this a dinner table conversation, the same way that we'd put our hand up and run for help if we had a broken leg.
Don't be afraid to have those, hard-hitting, confronting conversations, because it could save a life.
I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, and LIVIN has been instrumental in changing my life for the better.
If in doubt, reach out, because there's a lot of people out there that want to help and support you making that change to get back on track to start living again.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome from wherever you may be joining around the world. We're here for the Oceanic Nationals playoffs. There is a lot to get through, 3 days of best of threes, and I could not be more excited. It is going to be jam-packed. By the way, very quickly before we get into the day, if you want to interact with us on our socials, make sure you head to the @Rainbow6ANZ socials on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, join in the conversation. #OCN is the way to do it. We will love to have your thoughts thoughts and chat with you. By the way, Raven and I will be bringing you the first matchup of the day. Raven, welcome after what has been an intense season.
It has been an intense season. I think that's the best way to describe it is we saw such a really open, anybody could win kind of affair. And it was kind of the tale of two ends in the end, where it was basically the top five just neck and neck. And then it was all about who is going to actually end up in the bottom two for relegations and who makes their way into playoffs, which is where we're at right now.
That's it. Let's clarify it all. Let's go back and recap what was the Oceanic National standings. We've got Wildcard at the top. We all expected that coming into the season. We all expected that Wildcard were going to be the dominant team. However, not in the way that they were. A lot of close matches. And Raven, as you alluded to, look at the... I want to drag the attention of the viewers from second to fifth place right now. Just run through that with me. Knights finish up on 15 points. Elevate, Noble, and Okami are all sitting on 12. Those four teams incredibly close to really taking that second seed. Knights obviously come out on top. But Raven, you were alluding to those relegations. Do you want to quickly run people through what actually happened there?
Yeah, so we saw on the final day, LFO, Ferox, and Rhythm, basically a win would get them into playoffs. Both Rhythm and Ferox, though, they weren't able to get that. It was actually LFO versus Ferox in the very last game of the season. So they were fighting to stay out of relegations. LFO ended up taking it 7-5, so therefore they've made it through into playoffs in 6th place. But again, it was a super close season, and so many of these matches could have gone either way. It makes me very excited about the playoffs format now. It's going to be BO3s. Does change the dynamic up a little bit.
Certainly does. It changes it completely, in all honesty. So let's have a look at the bracket. Let's have a look at how these games are going to play out. Now, we'll get into the matchups that we have coming up first a little bit later, but I think the biggest context that I want to give from the season that we just had is the quarterfinalists. All four of those teams, whoever loses, they're gone. There is no lower bracket for the quarterfinals. It is only from the semifinals on.
Yeah, really important to note that. And of course, that does mean that there was extra weight getting first and second. It was really about having a consistent season, being a top performer, and being in first and second. It gets you through to semifinals, and it gets you that chance at the lower bracket. It's a really big deal there for Wildcard and Pittsburgh Knights. And as you said, Manic, it does mean these other four teams, they're on the chopping block today. We'll find out two teams, they're not progressing from today.
Yeah, it is quite a lot of pressure in all honesty. So let's have a look at what these teams are really playing for here, because we know the context, we know what's going on. Now, there is something I'm going to add to this prize pool, and of course, it is something that's really important that needs to be noted, but it is a total prize pool of $40,000. You can see the jump up from 5th to 4th and 4th to 3rd, etc., all the way up to 1st, which will be claiming the lion's share of the $40,000, the 12K. But Raven, the top three teams, would you like to kind of introduce as to why this is a really important part to finish in the top three placing?
Yeah, very important, because you'll qualify for the November major, the Oceanic major, that is. And so, yeah, you want to finish in top three for that, because, of course, extra prize money on top of this, and 6 invitational points for winning that major. And importantly for Wildcard, they're the only one in Oceanic region that actually have SI points already. So they're going to be wanting to get back to that major and securing some more SI points, so they can get a spot in 6 Invitational 21.
That's it. Fair bit of pressure on Wildcard's shoulders, in all honesty. But we'll have a look at the schedule. We can start to break down what we are going to see today, because it's 3 best of 3s, ladies and gentlemen. We have the potential for 9 maps total. Now, we will dive into the first match in just a second. Okami and Noble. That one, for me, I really find that quite interesting. 2 teams that have kind of had polar opposite seasons. Noble starting off in a good stead and finishing on quite shaky terms, whereas Okami literally coming out strong on the last 4 maps of their season. But the Elevate LFO game, I still think has a lot of weight to it, considering the victor of that matchup in the regular season was LFO, Raven.
It was. That was quite a surprise result. It was, in fact, LFO's first win for the entire season. It came into the second last stage. So I think Elevate really going to be looking for redemption. Of course, that was just a BO1 with OT, but they didn't need OT. LFO actually won it quite comfortably. Now we're in BO3s. You feel like that would favor a slightly more experienced and consistent team like Elevate. But it does beg the question, can LFO back it up now into this BO3 and push Elevate out of playoffs?
And they absolutely have to. Also, the last note we're going to make on this little graphic right here, ladies and gentlemen, Wildcard will be taking on TBD. No, I'm kidding. They will be taking on the first matchup. Whoever wins that game, they will be playing off against that team in the semi-finals. Now, to think that we will already have had 2 quarterfinals and a semi-final played on the first day of playoffs is quite absurd, but that is just the nature of this beast. We are going in, and we are going in hard, Raven.
Yeah, we're going to be going deep all weekend because it's just going to keep going tomorrow, and then it's going to keep going on Sunday. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's really setting the stage for what I'm sure is going to be an exciting end to the playoffs. And as we've said, who's going to be making the major? I think that's the real excitement as we progress through. It's all going to be focusing on who are the top teams coming out of Oceanic Nationals, who is going to be going to these majors.
That's it, and it all kicks off right now. It's the Okami matchup. Let's have a look at this team and go a little bit more in depth as to what we've seen from them all season long, because we came into this, Raven, really by about play day 3, I want to say, just expecting that Okami were actually going to be fighting for relegation almost because of the way that they'd performed. But they've really, let's say, turned up the heat in this last half of the season.
They have. Look, it was really grim at the start. We expected a lot from this team, and they were, quite frankly, underperforming. They looked like they were really struggling. They've only made 1 roster change since the previous stage, which was bringing in Specker. But look, to their credit, they really 180'd halfway through, as you said. It was a really astounding difference. It was such a contrast. And honestly, I've said it so many times, I don't know if I've ever seen a team do such a quick 180 like we saw from Okami in the season.
No, and it was almost polar opposite. Like, the team that we were seeing in the second half was not even the same team, when in fact it was the exact same lineup, the exact same mentality that they'd had all along. And I think the interviews from Specker really summed up a lot of what we were talking about, Raven, which is that there was a little bit of like a break-in stage for this team. They really needed to be able to, let's just say, get the cogs running, right? They had the cogs running, sorry. They needed to be firing on all cylinders. And it really took them those first couple of play days too, but you will see things really took a turn once they started playing Oregon a little bit more regularly.
Yeah, look, Oregon was a bit of a revelation for the roster. They ended up playing it quite a lot, 4 times in fact, and they won it 3 of those 4 times. So it really did help bring their season back to life. I want to highlight too, you'll see it through these replays, probably going to see Cutie's name quite a bit. He was the top rated player for Okami for the regular season, and easily their most consistent performer. So I think definitely keep your eye out for Cutie going into this series.
Yeah, and one thing just before we move on with Okami is just their ability to play so fluidly. We've spoken about it all season. Even last season, we talked about it quite a lot. They are just a genuinely dangerous team when you underestimate them. And even if you don't underestimate them, it's very hard to really get a good hold on them. Yeah,
absolutely. They are a very adaptable team. They're not particularly strategy heavy in that they rely on a lot of structure and things going to plan. Feels like they can really pivot when they want to. They can just turn on aggression in an instant. And sometimes they can even like calm it down at a flick of the switch, so to speak. That's a real danger against some teams, and some teams have struggled to deal with that.
And it is something that really changes the way you can play, I guess. Like, it's pretty much the most basic way of saying it. Now, they are going to be going up against Noble. This roster has been turbulent, to say the very least. It was good to begin with. By the way, very quickly, before we actually get into all the context for this team, they are the only team to take a map off of Wildcard. That was 8-7 back on our Playday number 2 on Cafe. So, you know, we're going deep back into the season there, but on the back end, it really has not been the best signs. And I think Nico kind of summed it up in just saying that things just aren't working right for them, and they know there's issues. It's just a little bit harder for them to fix right now.
Yeah, almost the opposite story to Okami in that they started the season very promising. Honestly thought they were probably going to be a top 2 team, but then they kind of 180'd in the wrong direction, and it just looked really sketchy. They had some close matches, sure, but they just weren't able to close out. Most notably, the final match of the regular season against Elevate, sorry. It was a really close game, 6-6, went into overtime, and they ended up losing it 8-6, but the round they lost it on, it was a 1v4 where they had the advantage. Just a small mistake. I really think that just summed up their season. Small mistakes costing them rounds, which cost them games.
Yeah, and that really could have been the determiner for them. They could have, I think they could have found themselves in third place, actually, if I'm not mistaken. So there are some, there are some big consequences to matchups like this. But having said that, once we're starting to move on here and we're starting to get our foothold in what will be this matchup, one thing is for sure, Noble are a very good team. Now, just because they have had a shaky performance throughout the season does not mean by any feat that they will be shaky heading into playoffs. They've had plenty of time to really bring this back together, and I think that this will be a very good test to see where this team's at right now and how they're performing.
Yeah, they've had a little bit of time to just try and start working on things ready for playoffs. On top of that, I think just the fact that we are into the BO3 format now, it changes things slightly, and this is where I want to start highlighting map pools, because as we said with Okami, they played Oregon 4 times, they got 3 wins on it. We didn't really see many maps from Okami overall in the season. It was 3 off the top of my head: Oregon, Clubhouse, and Villa. Outside of Oregon, they weren't really seeing much success. So this is where a BO3 is going to be very interesting, because Noble, let's say they ban out Oregon, wouldn't be surprised if that is their first ban. Yeah. What does Okami go to then? It could be really sketchy. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be that surprised if it starts to really favor Noble, because their map pool, while they've had more losses, their map pool looks like it's deeper. They look like they're more comfortable to spread out what maps they play on.
Yeah, and this could be a real testament, I think, to Okami, because, they had a pretty good end to the season last season in the Six Master playoffs, and then obviously not so much going into the major. The major wasn't that great for them, but their Six Masters playoff was actually quite impressive. So this does kind of leans in the middle for me, because the best of 1 format throughout the season is very rough. We don't get to see a lot of maps. We get to see 7 maps from each team. And I think that kind of just makes things a little bit harder to dissect in terms of what we're about to see when we come into a best of 3. But I think a bit of context for this matchup, we have 5 games between these 2 teams over the last 2 seasons, 4 of which have gone Okami's way. So would you say heading into this that Okami, regardless of their map pool, might have the upper hand in this battle?
I think yes, and also just Okami, I think because of the form they've really been able to bring out of the regular season, they're going to feel a lot of confidence in themselves, and they're very much a confidence team. I think once they feel like they are rolling, they start to roll, and that's the danger thing for Noble right now, is that Okami did end the season with some good form. I mean, they lost their last regular season match against Wildcard, but it was 5-7. It was on Oregon. So out of that, I'd still be taking positives if I were Okami. That's the important thing right now, is just where's Noble's confidence level at to be able to match this with Okami.
Yeah, and I think one of the scary things for me as well is looking at Okami's season, and I think back to the interviews and the conversations we had with Specker, and even when they were down and out, it did not seem like they were phased too much. So that's one thing that really concerns me, is the fact that Noble are on the back of a couple of losing streaks, and it's not bowing that favorably for them. Raven, we are going to be getting into predictions, well, not predictions, map predictions, I should say, right now. Do you have any thoughts on what we're going to see for these first 2 bans? You said Oregon for Noble. Do you think that will be cemented?
I would be surprised if it's not, honestly. It was hands down Okami's best map for the season. I'm sure Noble are going to ban that out. Maybe they've got something up their sleeve, though, and they want to play it. I don't know, but I would generally be surprised if it's not Oregon. And then in terms of Okami, this is again where it gets a bit trickier. Noble seem like they have a deeper map pool. For a while, Clubhouse has looked like Noble's best map. They didn't have the greatest results on it this season, though. So I don't think that will be Okami's first ban. This is a little bit harder to read into.
Yeah, well, let's burn through these map predictions, shall we? Because I think we're almost ready for game time. It's going to be a ban for Coastline and Cafe. So Oregon is left on the board, Raven. Are we going to see it? Let's get through these. Oh, yeah, there we go. Bang.
Look, not surprised that Okami picked it. I am a little bit surprised Noble left it up. So I guess Okami going to put their foot in the door while it's there. Villa, probably a good pick from Noble. They've been a somewhat decent team on Villa. Okami didn't look great on Villa earlier in the season. They did play it, but they got manhandled by Ferox. So maybe that is something that Noble have read into. I want to go back to the Okami ban on Cafe real quick as well. That was the map that Noble beat Wildcard on. It was 8-7, very close. But I guess if you're Okami looking at that, you would assume that Noble are probably pretty good at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't want to take that risk, right? Any unnecessary risks is not really not going to go in your favor, and there's no need to take that kind of a gamble on it, which is why it does surprise me we are seeing Noble pick up Oregon. However, I do think that that could still lean in their favor. We know that Noble do their homework. They've done a lot of research throughout the year, so wouldn't surprise me at all. But let's have a look at the snowball predictions very quickly, the panel and what they thought. It's pretty much Okami flush, bar Sky, who is one of the bottom rated predictionists, if you will. So, sorry, mate. You're, I think you're digging a deeper hole for yourself there, like I do with my words, my English words that are very bad.
Yeah, look, I think it's fair that most of us have predicted Okami. I'm sure the community vote will replicate this as well. But I really want to reiterate, I wouldn't be counting out Noble. They seem like they've got a better map pool, and I think in a BO3 format, they have a great chance to be able to take it off Okami, because I am yet to be convinced that Okami can replicate their success outside of Oregon. And we're going to get to see that because the first map was Noble's pick, and that was Villa. So if Villa does not go the way of Okami, I think it's a bit of a concern.
Yeah, they're going to definitely need to get off on the right step here for Okami. They have a great opportunity to. Villa is a little bit shaky for them. A 3-7 loss in the season to Ferox, as you mentioned, Raven. But this is where it all starts. Our best of 3 for the first quarterfinal of the playoffs. And it starts on Villa. What are we expecting heading into this? We think it's Okami. Noble have a good shot, but really, on the back end of this season, it definitely starts to favor the that fluid style that Okami have brought every single game. Now, the bans, how much of an influence will this have, Raven?
Look, you can have some influential bans on Villa. We haven't seen too many dramatic bans coming out. This is a good ban from Okami on the Buck for Noble, because it is Nico's favorite operator. We've talked about it a lot. He loves using Buck. On top of that, he uses the DMR on Buck as an extra way for wall and floor destruction. So taking that away from Noble has seen proven effect before. We saw it on a clubhouse match during the regular season. Noble, they just weren't able to adapt to not being able to use that Buck.
Certainly something to keep your eyes on to see what they do to potentially. I mean, I think we saw the fuse being brought, right, for Nico as an attempt at an adaptation there. Yep. So maybe keep your eyes there, but we'll wait and see what actually happens in the end. It is a Valk and a Kaid ban, so a little bit of wall denial, a little away from that defensive side. Was it Cutie? I feel like it was Cutie that we were seeing running around with the Valk on Oregon quite a bit. So potentially looking at a targeted ban in that aspect. But regardless, Valk taking away intel, it's never a bad option.
On top of that, I just think with Okami's playstyle, they like to flank. Ibisal in particular is always out and about. Specker can be that kind of player. So taking away the info of Valkyrie, really important, because it facilitates, or it makes roaming a little bit trickier. You know, you don't have a lot of the extra intel that's flexible like a Valkyrie. I think that's a great ban from Noble. And I agree with you about the target ban as well onto Cutie. Actually, Cutie's played a lot of Kaid. So, you know what? I think that's a solid ban too.
Yep. Let's see the effects, whether it do be having or not be having, Raven. Thus will be called. The community vote, ladies and gentlemen. You are backing the predictions of the Snowball panel at 59% in favor of Okami. Just a reminder, you can, of course, go to the Rainbow Six ANZ socials to be a part of those votes. So definitely go ahead and jump on over. It gives us something to talk about as well, because generally it's always interesting to see what the people at home think. And more often than not, it seems like we've been wrong this season. So it's one of those things.
I would love to see whether the community's been more right than us, honestly. It's been pretty hard to predict the season in general, so I think that's going to continue through playoffs. And I do want to say, again, I think this is a really open BO3 right now. Looking at the veto, I don't know, I kind of feel like it favors Noble. As long as Noble win this map, I mean, if they end up losing Villa, I think it's probably GG. But if they get Villa, I wouldn't not be surprised to see Noble actually come back on Oregon and counter Okami, just given the sheer amount of Oregon we've seen from Okami.
4 games straight, and straight, like all 4 back to back. in the back end of the season there for Okami. So, you know, it really does work as a double-edged sword. Sure, that team is going to be more than used to it when it comes to official time, but at the same time, we know that Noble are quite sneaky in what they really try to get done for the regular season. That's going to be doubled down when it heads to playoffs.
Noble looking like they're going to try and emphasize a bit of a study take here. Just really figuring out whether it's viable or not. There is a player doing a bit of a default position at the top of the brown stairs with the shield. Can be tricky to flush out as well, especially with the Womai up. Lots of magnets around. They've got ADSs on top of that. So it is going to be involving a bit of that vertical pressure, which we are starting to see Noble do. There is a player down there in pottery, maybe towards piano. They are probably going to try and utilize this vertical pressure, push out those positions, and allow them to get that controller study.
Well, being decently quiet, all things considered. Wait and see what really opens things up here. It's Fisher Guy on the entry. Hippie style taken out with the vertical pressure from the main stairs Raven.
That was very precise. Honestly, I love that from Noble. They cleared that position out with no trouble at all, giving themselves a minute to start to put pressure on the site here. Noble looking very good at the start of these attacks. They can really put pressure in through the study now, and it means that Okami are just going to have to start pulling back, either sitting into some of these deep spots on side or hard to push out positions, or even back in 90 around the top of red stairs.
Yeah. You'd see one of the Okami players favoring that 90 position. Oh my word. How is that for a C4? Milo, he never saw it coming, and Jack Daddy in the meantime, he'll find a kill off camera. Starting to fall apart a little bit for Noble here, Raven. 20 seconds left. They are going to have to pick up the pace and put a little bit more pressure onto Okami.
Yeah, Okami really fighting back, not afraid to get aggressive. And speaking of, Jack Dad pushes down Classical. He is refragged, but with only 9 seconds to go. It's going to be very tough now, and oh my god, Okami just closed it out. Noble not able to capitalize, and that's Okami going up the first round of this series.
Jack Daddy with a 3K as well. That's a great way for Okami to start. We were so positive. There was so much promise early in the match there for Noble, and unfortunately just kind of falling apart as they push that player out at the top of main and Classic being pushed. This is the problem when you play Okami. No matter what you think they're doing, no matter how good your grip is in the round, at any one moment, they will determine how things really end. And they are very quick with their adaptations, as you've just seen. Now, we will be heading across to Trophy and Statch. But not the most of promising starts for Noble.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
Yeah, look, the start of that attack, it did look good, but maybe it was suffering from a bit of one-dimensionalness. Like, they got control of top round, that's great. They got study control, that's great. They started opening walls, but they didn't get anything happening around red stairs or 90. So it did mean that Okami actually had a pocket to fall back into and kind of direct the play from that defense in the end of that round. And on top of that, I mean, Jack Dad, he just got aggressive. And I don't think Noble were ready for Okami to just lash out like that right in their face. So a good call from Okami. We've talked about it's dangerous sometimes with their aggression. They can just turn it on out of nowhere.
Yep.
5 seconds remaining.
It's 100% something you do want to keep your eyes on. It's just the way that Okami play and just the fluidity in their movement, let alone in their play style. You're seeing right now a fair bit of, I would say, just attendance on that first floor, but also as well, you can see Ippy style all the way on the southern side of the map. He will just delay so much of what Noble are going to try and do here. He doesn't even necessarily need to win fights at this point. He has been spotted by a drone, and now they just know that they're going to have to clear this out or completely neglect it, in which case it's never really going to be a good sign. So Noble are going to be forced to make that decision on the back of some decisions that have been made by Okami themselves.
Yeah, decisions. That is definitely the name of Siege to a T. All about decision making. But right now, Ibistal is not going to be patient. He's going to go for a bit of a run, deciding he's not feeling the pressure. He's going to try and start a bit of a flank. It looks like Noble have opted for more vertical pressure as opposed to that horizontal pressure across from Study. Ibistal, oh, he misses the opportunity to be able to get the opening pick. That would have been big for Okami. And right now, Noble, they're starting to dwindle a little bit, I'd say. They look like they're struggling to obtain this full vertical control. Spec is still here, able to do work. Jack Dad stepping up again, takes out Milo. Oof, Okami are on a roll.
A roll that can very quickly snowball out of control. Fisher guy not having a bar of it just yet. He will find a second opening for Noble in just as little as 2 rounds. Potentially he might be the player to step up. We've seen him time and time again perform at a moment of need for Noble. This may just be called upon once more. It is going to be President winning out that duel. If he falls down there, that's the hard breach gone. So it could have been a little bit more complicated. They do, however, manage to make it a little bit more uncomfortable for Okami on that side. 3 versus 4, Noble's favour.
Yeah, and right now, this is where it might get a bit tricky, right? Noble do not have any other spread out control. Cutie has still got control of Astro and Astro Stairs. He's actually going down for a bit of a run. He looks like he's going to flank on Fisher guy, who's completely unaware. Cutie gets that pick that evens it out as a 3 versus 3. President, as you said, has been tagged low. So right now, this is really swinging back into the favor of Okami. They can play patient and just wait for Noble to try and make a move.
Hippie style as well, still off site and roaming around that games area. Top red, nice peek from Cutie to delete President. With only 2 players remaining here for Noble, they're going to have to send it. They're going to have to try and find these openings. That's a good way to start. Cutie will fall down. A 2 versus 2 Raven. The heat is on Noble.
Heat is on Noble. They have to push deep and try and get some picks. Jack Dad whiffs though. They're gonna have to push through the site. Still a Gumine and Dirtbase foot as Nico attempts this plant. Has to be denied by Ippy, but he's playing this very patiently. Very well done. Reset fails. It looked like, I don't know what that was. Ippy, he's gonna try and engage, but misses it with Nico. Noble get a round back. All played from them in the end. It looked like it was on a nice edge, Manic.
It definitely, for me, that was favouring Okami pretty much from the get-go there, and it's unfortunate that they have not been able to convert that, considering the advantages that they were able to gain throughout the entirety of that round. But I guess it is a problem when you are so separated from each other. You can see Cutie was at the bottom of Astro, Jack Daddy was stuck on site with Hippie Style completely on the other side. So when that is eventually when the diffuser is eventually planted, it's a little bit more awkward for Hippie Style to try and win a 2 versus 1. But nevertheless, we are going to be reattempting that site. Okami obviously feeling like they had the better start and middle round to that attempt.
Yeah, look, I want to say too, I was so sure that somebody tried to reset that Zofia. I heard the pistol shot, the Zofia went down at that instant. I'm not sure if that was what was happening. Really felt like it to me, and it was poorly timed, but got to credit Ippy patience. He didn't do the big mistake, right? When you know that it's 0-0 and they're planting, where you rush it. It happens so often. You see players try and rush the planter because they know, oh, they have to stick this. But Ippy played it very patiently. He clearly had not lost his composure. And that's what works out.
10 seconds to go.
Right, so
5 seconds left before
at this point, Noble have found their way back into it. So
attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
it's all about taking one step at a time. And on that note, this really could be the start that Noble are looking for, should they be able to just win the small rounds here and there, especially when Okami have started out as strong as they did in that first round. It would be terrible to see Okami grab that confidence and just continue to push and push and push and eventually nudge Noble completely out of the game, especially when we are kind of predicting what this is going to happen when we head to Oregon, which for Okami have looked so strong. Spec up. Always looking to do something just a little bit spicy.
Yes, he is. Hasn't been able to find his way onto the scoreboard in the first 2 rounds at least, but he's able to shoot down that Selma charge. That's a plus for run here on the Mozzie. And look, referencing Okami's match against Ferox earlier in the season where they really did get manhandled on Villa. Specker, again, wasn't really able to find his way into that game as much, and often they were really shut down on long roams or on their attacks, because often trying to crouch walk into a flank or something like that. So I feel like that's a lot of what factored into Noble's decision to play Villa, in that they feel like there was some predictable patterns there of Okami. They can read into that. They're pretty good on Villa themselves, so therefore this is where we go. So I think if Noble, like I said earlier, if they aren't able to close out this map, it's a big warning sign.
It is interesting. In the last 6 months, this map has gone 1-1 either way. So it's definitely one that we know these teams are well versed on against each other, let alone prepared for. That, however, with Milo going down early, will be a big opening for Okami to continue to take control of this round. And they still have not completely dealt with these roams. One all the way down in the basement. Ooh, that would have been cheeky.
Oh, they got him anyway. So that brings it back to a 4 versus 4. But with 50 seconds to go, Noble have really struggled to obtain more map control. They are trying to get the master bedroom wall open. It looked like there, 2 players in the bedroom. But Okami do not look too bothered by it. They are still able to hold really solid control. Specky here in Astro, as well as Cutie. Not sure what that drone spotted, whether they did actually see Cutie or not. Doesn't look like it. President is not aiming that direction. So right now, Cutie in the box seat. He's taken down though. Well timed from Fisho. Noble setting themselves up for potentially taking another round here, Manic.
Drop the bomb diffuser.
That they are, but Specker, that's what we needed to see from him. He'll make it 2, maybe a 3rd. No, it won't matter. Jack Daddy's there to save the day. And Ippy Style with an off kill. It is quite a strong round in the end from Okami.
That was a spicy little sequence of play there from Specker in Trophy. Does close out that round. I honestly thought with Noble getting that pinch onto the Astro stairs, I thought they'd really set themselves up to be able to go, but Specker just held fast in Trophy, did not let it fall away. And Okami do secure that bomb site, as it did look good in the first attempt. So now they get to go back to Aviator Games, and look, we saw how that went. That went into Okami's favor as well.
Regardless of the start that we did see, it definitely favored Okami. I think 3 players left alive, and not just that, but Jack Daddy stepping for the 3K to squander the chances of Noble getting off to the start they would have hoped for. IQ being swapped for Zofia at the last second. As Milo, we know, can have such a great impact on a game, and he's definitely a player that when he gets in the right positions, he is a force to be reckoned with. So no shocks there, as we now see the 4th round, as you said, back across to that southern side of the building. And previously we had seen that extension at the top of main stairs with the, I don't even believe it was the Goyo shield. I actually think that was Cutie's, just Cutie's smoke shield instead. But regardless, a lot of utility for Noble to have to burn through here.
Oh.
You got the Wamai and the Jaeger.
On top of that, they've got 2 shields, plus the Vulcan shields, plus the Banshees from the Lucy. Like, oh my goodness, there is oodles of utility to have to clear through for this attack. And last time, they did a great job actually getting the top of brown stairs, given the amount that was needed to be cleared. But that was really where the success ended for Noble. So right now, I think it's all about how can they adapt to that first round to obtain themselves some more control and really choke Okami a bit more on site, because that's what suffered last time.
Once again, that vertical control for Noble is a mainstay, as Joker now just looking to show a little bit of face. Specker as well, just continuing to be on a cheeky roam on the complete opposite side of the map. And realistically, this would have to be quite frustrating for Noble. You can see the Goyo shield as well in the bedroom that will just give him so much more protection if they do wish to clear him from north to south, which it just doesn't look like they've put a lot of attention there yet. That could change.
Yeah, it looks like at the moment for Noble, it's pretty similar to that first round. They're really trying to get this vertical pressure to flush out the hallway and top of ground stairs. Ibisal's still holding it though, so as we come into the halfway point, if they're not going to take other control through red or 90, they need to get this control of brown stairs so that they can open study a lot easier. And right now, it's just Okami shutting them out, and again, putting some dominance in, is, as you pointed out, Manic. Okami not afraid to get in the faces of Noble early and just keep them guessing. And Jack Dad on a roll, he takes out Nico in the verticals. That's going to be rough.
Daddy, you would have to say, has been quite instrumental in a lot of these rounds so far. You can see just on the underside of Itby Style, it is Milo. Spotted out. No need to engage just yet. Jack Daddy will be there to save the day. Fisho's going to go deep here. He's going to need to find the kill. He can't do so. The ducking and weaving is too much. And Jack Daddy will save the player, but only for so long as Milo and President come together.
Yeah, President tagged quite low. Derpe tagged low as well as he pushes up the stairs. If they aren't able to recover President, it's going to make it rough. They've got 40 seconds. There's still a touch of time. Jack Daddy managed to stay alive in that entire engagement. So Noble have the control they want, but I still don't think it's enough. I think coming in this final 30 seconds, Okami are going to have the positions needed. We'll see though, as 20 seconds go down, they're opening up that wall into bar.
Jack Daddy's there as well. Cutie will be able to slow that down with the smoke babes remaining, and you can see the players just on the edge of this corner here. This is doom for them. Cutie, he's got the shotgun. He's up close. It'll allow Joker to swing back. Derpe goes low. Milo will at least find a trade, but there's nothing left in this round for him. Surely it is all done and dusted. He does give it a fair shout, though, you have to say, Raven.
Jeez, he did too. That would look pretty nuts. A little bit of John Wick moment for Milo, but it's not enough to save Noble's round, and again, they just suffered from not getting as much map presence as they really needed, because even though they got control of top of ground, study, even classical hall, Okami still had a good position on site. They could still anchor in, they could still get aggressive like this from Joker. It was just never enough for Noble to be able to actually get something cement happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good defense again from Okami, and they're looking pretty good in this defense half in general.
They are, and this could be the warning bell starting to be rung in the town hall for Noble, because it's just not looking to be hitting the mark against a team that is already favored coming into playoffs. And you would hate to see Noble continue the trend that has been the back end of their season. And it's definitely not called yet. Sheets haven't been signed, so still plenty that is to be done in this matchup. We've still got 2 rounds for Noble to actually bring this back. I mean, I'm sitting here saying doom and gloom, but at the end of the day, it still could finish 3-3, which, all things considered, I think Noble would be quite lucky unless they manage to pull back this in some crazy form. It definitely has felt like Okami have had the favor.
I mean, the biggest concern for me is just that Noble didn't really do anything that different on that push. And
yeah,
like in an important series like this in playoffs, you've got to be able to adapt on the fly. Look, maybe they made the call. Guys, it went okay last time. We just lost our picks. Let's try it again. I don't think so personally, but that could have been the call, and that's fine. But they need to start adapting a lot more to what Okami's doing. It just kind of feels like Okami have dictated the pace. They've dictated the play style for a lot of these rounds that have been played right now. I just think if Noble want to get back on top in their attack half, they need to start taking control.
Yep. I could definitely agree with that sentiment as well. Milo with piano control. This time a little bit sharper from Noble. Specker now just caught in some different angles. I think that's his teammate up above, so he's not needing to stress just yet. But of course you can see just out on the window is the Nico and Sledge, and also Milo's already in piano. There could be a little bit of a crossfire should he try to fall back, but at this point, there's no direct pressure on him. So Nico is starting to put just a little bit more attention his way, and down he will go. Oh, and he wins the fight. No way.
Oh, I thought Milo was going to have that. I thought he was in hot pursuit. Specker didn't know, but well played from Specker. In the end, this is not going Noble's way at all. They've finally got that control of the library reading room, but still not enough. They're going to need to be at vertical control as well. Ippy Style and Cutie are still holding above that. Fisher guy looks like he's poised to try and push in, but given we are already under or past the halfway mark, it's just been slow going for Noble with very little control.
Nico still looks a little bit unclear on where that roam ended up, so even more issues for Noble here, as he's still just not 100% sure what is going on. And this is not good signs for Noble coming into the last minute, Raven. We're still 3 players downstairs and putting the pressure on.
And look at that.
End
Joker.
really quick.
Oh, the aggression. Oh my god. Sorry, mate, to cut you off, but that was just such a good play from Joker to push through the Gemini. And poor little President, it's all up to him. With 30 seconds to go, it's going to be tough.
President is not going to find anything. In fact, he's going to be on the receiving end of a flawless round from Okami. And from start to finish, Raven, you would have to say that that was definitely all Okami's favor. That was such a strong round. There were so many points at which it just did not look stable for Noble. So I think we've just seen a rehost being called. Wait to hear for the confirmation. And you will once again get to see Raven and I at the forefront of your screens. But I think that no matter how much has really happened in this matchup, you cannot take away from what Okami have been able to achieve so early on.
Yeah, look, Okami's been playing very well. On top of that, I just think Noble have not been reading into things very well or adapting particularly well with these attacks, which is a bit of a concern because this is the Noble map pick, very important. And on top of that, I've said it quite a lot too. If Noble drop this map, I think it's going to be pretty grim coming into Okami's pick on Oregon because,
yeah,
I mean, they've presented strong on that already, and I feel like Noble they've really had some clear intentions of going to Villa first.
Yeah, and the thing for me is Consulate at the end, should we get to the decider. I just want to kind of, bring your minds back to that. I mean, we don't know what either of these teams are really like on Consulate. Neither of these teams have played throughout the entirety of Oceanic Nationals. You just have to imagine that they're both feeling confident going into it. But it just doesn't, the way that the vetoes went for me, I know you were thinking it was favoring Noble, but it's just such an uncertainty on broadcast anyway, regardless of the background information that we have, with Consulate being that last map, being that decider, with the way that Okami have really been playing through and through this back end of the season. This has really just brought their form up to date, and potentially we're not even going to see it. Right there, you can see on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, 4-1 in the favor of Okami on their defensive side of Villa as we head into the rehost. Now, rehost being rehost, Raven, maybe this is where Noble start to bring their composure back, but they would have to hope for something here.
Yeah, look, they need to start doing something. I was just thinking, what might have changed to cause Noble to start playing not that great on these attacks? I was thinking about the bans, and you know what? Like, maybe the Buck ban is having such a significant impact. I wouldn't think so personally, but you know what? Like, they haven't really been able to utilize very good vertical pressure on most of these attacks. The only time I felt like they utilized verticals well was when they cleared out the top of Brown Stairs in round number 1. But on top of that, they never really capitalized on it. They never had a lot of verticals in towards Bar and Aviator. And to capitalize on the points that I've already mentioned about Okami sitting deep in positions on the defense of Aviator games, without that vertical pressure, of course they can do that. So I think it's just that Noble have relied so much on Buck so much this season that when it's not available, not an option, it does kind of lineate their pushes a lot more.
Yeah, and that really, I think, for me, was a massive highlight on their game on Clubhouse. That one, for me, really burnt through that potential. I mean, granted, Sledge and the Buck were banned on that Clubhouse attack. That kind of changes things a little bit more so. But I definitely think that there is a case to be made, Raven, that without that Buck, without that vertical pressure, and really without the comfort pick for Nico, this could potentially be what happens. We just see a lot more of a stale kind of attack because it is a lot harder. It is a lot more uncomfortable to try and go around and open up those vertical positions or even just get them open to begin with. And I mean, should those bans play effect, this is a huge triumph for Okami. If we head into a 5-1 first half, I mean, we have seen 5-1 comebacks on Villa before. It's not like it's unheard of. It can be very defensive sided, but definitely this is the Okami would have been dreaming for.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's Noble's map pick, and Noble are going to be wanting to start off strong. You know, when it's your map pick first and you really go ahead with the scoreline and you start to really show some dominance, that can put some negative effects onto the other team. Yeah, they can start to think about their map pick, but regardless, it gives you that early momentum and you can start the game of the psychological warfare, so to speak. But Okami is the one that's now controlling that, because this is Noble's pick and they are not controlling this game at all. And so Okami are really on the front with that psychological warfare. And like you said, if this does go to a 5-1 half, sure, we've seen comebacks on Villa before in terms of defense halves. But in the past, Okami have usually looked better on their attack halves on Villa. That's outside of this season because we've only seen it once. But in the past, that's definitely been the case.
And that for itself is worrying. I think another worrying sign for me is, you know, we've seen Okami play, 7 matches throughout the season. And I can't really remember highlighting Jack Daddy as, you know, we've highlighted him before, obviously, but I can't remember a time where we highlighted Jack Daddy as such an instrumental part of the performance. And so far, I have down three rounds in my notes where Jack Daddy has played a huge role in what Okami have been able to do on that defensive side. And, you know, that is with negating Cutie. You know, I feel like Cutie we haven't really seen too much from because he hasn't been needed, you know, like that's a scary part for me as well. And when we do head to that attacking side, I'm not really confident in Noble's showing so far. And unfortunately, you know, we don't have the comms, we don't get that backside of information, but just off the raw input from the game that we're watching right now, Okami are just looking so set to run away with this. And when we head to map 2, I mean, unless Noble have watched every single VOD and know exactly what Okami are going to do every single round, it is still really worrying for me.
Yeah, and look, I think it's still worrying in general because Okami, like we've highlighted, they are a team that they aren't super strategy focused. They aren't, you know, the hard structured style of team that you do see sometimes. They're quite fluid. They will change things on the fly. They'll just change things based on feeling, and sometimes that works out really well for them. It doesn't always, but I think against a team that relies on structure, which Noble do tend to rely a little bit on that, I think it's just working so well for Okami right now, and it's just time for Noble to really adapt to what's going on. And I'm not surprised that it's also tough for them because even with the 2 Aviator Games defenses we've seen, Okami, although winning it quite strongly in the first round, they still changed things for the second time. They didn't go with the if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach.
Yeah. And that is something that we've seen from Okami so many times, is just their ability to continue to adapt on the fly and really turn into a different beast altogether. And I will say that this is on the back end of the season. I know I've said it a couple of times now, but it really has been on this second half where we've seen Okami really do just wonders. I think that's the only way of putting it for me, is they have been able to really claw back a lot of that dignity and respect that potentially they were starting to lose from, you know, the viewers at home and whatnot, because it was looking pretty dire for a while there. But this is the thing, once it starts to click, it really starts to just gain too much momentum. And Okami, like we're saying, momentum-based team, they just do so much damage, and when they're on, they are on. There's not much stopping them. And just for the last bit of context as we do head into this, it is 4 straight wins that Okami have been able to take on Oregon. So that is why we're kind of saying do or die for Noble on this match.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Yeah, very important for Noble to bring this back on Villa. So let's see whether this rehost has had a factor. Maybe in the downtime while something was being fixed, they've had a chance to talk and reset a bit on this mindset. And it might be all they need. On top of that, I'm going to bring in a factor that we haven't really raised yet. And that's that we're playing at 2:30 in the afternoon here in Australia. That's not gamer hours for most people, you know? Like, these guys are used to playing between 7 and like 1 a.m. for official matches, and of course they scrim much later than that. So this is quite the early start for these guys.
It's very true, because even I'm feeling it. Even I'm feeling it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Even I'm feeling a bit sluggish as compared to usual. So I could only imagine the kind of effect it would be having on the players. But regardless, just the last round of the defense for Okami here, we do head back to the trophy and statuary area, which, by the way, is the only round that Noble were able to take. So it is still promise left in it.
On top of that, that was a close round. So there we go. Fisher, though, he gets a nice entry onto Ibistar. Important start for Noble just to make a bit of a statement, you know, not let Okami feel like they have total control. And this is good. They've actually obtained control they didn't have last time from the south side across. They didn't even try to push it last time. And that really made the attack pretty sketchy. Of course, they only just won it based on a 1v1. Now this control's a lot better. Specker looming on the re-roam. It's going to really highlight whether Noble are watching their flanks well enough or not.
Right, now it looked like Fisho had a pretty good idea, but well, when you hit shots like that, I guess it doesn't really matter. And now Specker, he's drawn the attention of Milo completely away from top of red. And if he wins this engagement, it is not going well for Noble whatsoever. Still yet to even take a hint of damage. President will go down on side as Jack Daddy holds strong. Nico and Derpe are left to try and pick up the scraps, as that is all that's left in this round for Noble.
Oh boys, Specker really has put a dent into this attack on that re-roam. It's going to be very tough for Noble to close it out at this point. Nico and Derp are both very separated as well. There is no real refrag opportunity or trade opportunity here. Specker's going to try and continue this push around, as his attackers are still both very separated and with very little time, 30 seconds. Nico is going to start to push in towards site, try and make something happen, but right now it is Noble on the ropes in this first half.
Oh, Derpe's been able to spot him but not kill him, and that is a huge issue because Specker now looms large on that flank. They are going to have to try and do this together here, but Jack Daddy's so close to the door. Derpe shuts him down. There is a moment of belief here, Raven, but with that kill, it's all no, Joker! What have you done? Oh, that's great. That is great. Well, Raven, a 5-1 finish to the first half, and it is well-deserved for Okami.
It is. Look, they've really stepped up on those defenses. They just were constantly not letting Noble get comfortable. On most of those rounds, Noble weren't able to get further map control. That being said, Noble weren't really pushing for it on a lot of those rounds. And 5-1 deficit is a pretty steep hill to climb right now. Okami, they're 1 round away from at least securing the overtime, but only 2 rounds away from getting the dub. That's pretty common to get on an attack Villa half.
5 seconds remaining.
Well, Specker, for me, was the linchpin in the round for that Okami win, and this is not great signs. A wounded Noble could well be finished off here. And heading into map number 2, the signs are not promising for us to be heading to a third. We could be done and dusted with our quarterfinal, our first quarterfinal of the night before 4 p.m, which would just be absolutely outrageous. But feels like that is really direction we're headed, Raven.
Look, yeah, it does feel like that, to be honest with you. And like I said, generally Okami have looked more decent in their attack hubs on Villa than their defenses. That being said, the exception to that is their match against Ferox earlier in the season. They got totally dismantled on their attacks. So again, maybe that's something that Noble's read into and certainly hoping for, because Okami are on a roll. And as you said, it feels like we are very fast hurtling towards Okami taking map 1.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
That's actually a good point to make as well with your hurdling reference, because literally Okami have just hurdled over everyone in the last couple of games. I mean, obviously their wild card match, even then, you still had that feeling like there was a good chance of them winning that. And I really think that all of our thoughts heading into this matchup, saying that yes, it was going to be incredible, yes, that Okami are really starting to, you know, turn the heat up in Oceanic Nationals, it's all coming to fruition. And you do have to give credit to them. They are continuing to show that they are one of those top 2 teams, and that headed into playoffs, they are a force to be reckoned with. An interesting hold here from Noble with the extension into bedroom, closet, and bedroom as well. Should be quite spicy.
Yeah, definitely well known for this actually is Noble in their Villa defenses. It's going to be hard to flush out the position. So many ADSs put towards this. and also some great crossfire in bathroom is usually held. Looks like Okami are going to hard try push this out. They're not going to try and obtain further map control. Joker's in the window. He's just going to quick peek it. Ignores Fisher guy completely. Not sure what the play is there. And Okami have just played perfectly into the hands of this Noble strategy.
Well, I don't think it could get much worse for them at this point. Maybe if they funnel a third in, but Okami are now going to have to at least claw back one opening. They have to find an opening here. And then they have to try and steam it. I just don't know whether Noble are going to give it to them. They've got their positions held, and there's really no need for them to move. A minute left, and Okami have absolutely no control.
Definitely tough. And look, Joker had the chance. He was in. His back was against the smoke player in the closet. But just did not look the right way. That nade's going to miss. Jack Daddy does get Derpe though. This is going to make it a little bit more doable. This nade hits the mark. It might help. Jack Dad's actually behind Milo as well. Noble fight back. And it's going to be tough, but it looked doable. Not going to close it out is Okami. Noble actually get a round back now, Manic. 5-2.
And you would hope that they don't make the same mistake twice, so that strat there should really be dealt with if Noble do attempt it in another 2 rounds, mind you. But again, just I do want to highlight Jack Daddy, because we really haven't spoken a lot about Jack Daddy and what he's able to do so far in this Oceanic Nationals season. I know that we've, highlighted him as a player in the past, but just heading into this, it really feels like he's starting to peak, heading directly into playoffs, which you could not ask for a better time to do so. And he was nearly the linchpin in that round. He nearly opened up the entirety on the back of 2 kills. However, Fisho guy on that smoke was just instrumental. And now we will be heading to Kitchen instead of that Aviator Games, which we do quite often see back-to-back. Not to be.
Attackers have located a bomb.
It's a great point you've brought up about Jack Dad as well. It really doesn't feel like we've mentioned his name a massive amount in this regular season. I think a lot of that has to do with his role change. He's gone into this hard support role, playing the hard breaches, often playing Ace or Havana. So you don't usually shout those kind of players' names, but sometimes you do, but not often. But right now, he has stepped it up. And an interesting note about Okami is, across the board of all the teams at Oceanic Nationals, Okami didn't have a player in the top 5 for any stat category. So that's KD, entry, survivor rate, plants, all of that jazz. No players in the top 5. Cutie has, or was their highest rated player for the regular season. But right now, he's been a little bit subdued in this match.
That he has. Which is also concerning, because what happens when Cutie is let free from his cage? What happens when Cutie can have the impact we've seen all season? Again, only time will tell, and we will just have to keep an eye on this. Derpe on that pulse, quite similar to how we saw Kami's defense, obviously looking to just displace a couple of drones and continue the attention firmly on him as he wastes as much time as humanly possible. And Spec Up not really wasting too much time either, taking library control. This could be dangerous for him.
Yeah, he's going to walk into a big line of sight there. He starts to freak out, but just moves straight past it. The confidence of movement here really good from Specker. Not sure if there's drones clearing this or whether he's just going, you know what, I'm just going to go. But either way, he's obtained some really good map control for Okami. They've pushed out this roam of the Pulse. It gives them a great proximity to bomb site there from Mudroom into towards China.
Opening up now. I think Fisho's just put that jammer back down, so that will ensure that there is only that prone hole, or foot hole, if you will, down into pantry stairs with all that space that Specker was able to really make for Okami. Nothing's come of it just yet. It certainly has pushed Noble a little bit deeper on site, though.
And as we enter the final minute, no big engagements have happened, so this could be one of those quite gnarly 5v5 plant situations or all out gunfights. Right now, though, Specker knows there is a player in that corner. You can see the yellow pings out. Very much aware there's a player that he looks like he's ready to try and pounce on. But not really in the position to pinch. Milo is there, in fact, to try and stop this from happening. This could have a big impact, but he hasn't seen the Ash player swings, and it hasn't worked out too well. In fact, Okami, they take the man advantage out of that, as Specker actually was the one to kill Ippy style. 20 seconds to go, though, Manic, they're on site.
Oh my word. It is a massacre from Okami, player to player.
10 seconds to go.
They've completely snowballed through them here. Noble, what can they deny? Fisho guy goes big. He'll drop another player. It's all on Joker. No! My words. Fisho guy and Nico save the round. That was a 4 versus 2, Raven.
It was. I'm just... Oh my gosh. I'm gobsmacked that Okami lost that. And I'm going to start to put the signal down on that plant spot. Maybe it wasn't the play. Because they hadn't cleared Dining. They just smoked it off. It's not like they had that control. So as soon as that smoke dissipated, you saw a Noble player push through and cleared that out. It was Fisher guy. And it was a little bit hard to retake at that point. And Nico on that back flank in through China just perfectly timed, and that was it. I think if Okami had planted behind the kitchen bench, I could have played out quite differently.
Unfortunately for us, we will never know. It's all the umming and ahhing, but at the end of the day, there is a small moment of belief, a small part of me that is starting to lean a little bit toward Noble. We've seen a couple of little small mistakes from Okami that potentially have led to Noble's victories in these rounds. And it's not cause for concern just yet. Not yet, anyway. We're going to see another round or two. Maybe if we see some mistakes from Okami, maybe if we see the jitters, potentially we start to ask the questions. But thus far, still in arm's reach for Noble.
5 seconds left.
Look, it is, and especially if they get this round, just only being 1 round away after dwindling away that deficit of 5-1, it would be a really big deal. And we've talked about mindsets and Okami being a confidence team and all that kind of stuff. Well, if they lose this 5-1 lead, I don't think that's going to leave that camp feeling particularly great or confident. So I think, yeah, Noble are starting to put themselves in a better position. They looked pretty decent on these defenses. That being said, I honestly thought Okami had that last round in the pocket, so Noble can't be sleeping just yet.
No, that is pointing here saying that Okami have made mistakes, but equally so, Noble were pretty much squashed rather, on that attempt. Oh, that's not what you want, President. Well, he might actually be able to burn another flash here, so that potentially worked out quite well.
A bomb has been located.
Looks like we're going to see Okami do similar attempt here to what we saw Noble trying, in that they want to take study control. And Noble are doing a very similar strat as well. It's become quite the default, and that's having that shield. With the Wamai player at the top of Brown Stairs, you can use magnets all day long to deny projectiles. They've got ADSs there as well, so really tricky position to flush out. And what I think is going to be interesting is, do Okami opt to get bigger map control, which we didn't see from Noble, or not?
Style stopping the roam from Milo. Again, another player that we know full well does a lot of damage on those roams, and obviously the Jaeger giving him the ability to do so. Not in this engagement, however. As Jack Daddy now just looking for a little foothold in to bar. President finding a trade there. That's what they're looking for. Now Joker can go a little bit deeper and try to displace this player at the top of Brown. Derpe, though, will be able to find a kill through smoke.
Yeah, and Okami have some good control, but they are really starting to fall by the wayside. Spec is very low, and that would mean it'd be only up to Jack Dad and Cutie should he fall. Noble still have some good positions. They're able to sit back, and the time is starting to work against Okami. We're down to the final 45 seconds of the round, but here it is. This is the difference, is Okami have started to push for bigger map control. Cutie on that 90 window. If he repels in and takes that, if he gets a pick even, that could be a really big deal for Okami bringing this back.
Attackers have located a bomb.
That's unfortunate for Specker. Coming around the corner will enable Cutie to wide swing though. Jack Daddy being injured is not a good sign. And Nico, he's looking the wrong way of red stairs. Maybe not.
15 seconds to go.
Just waiting for anything to be given. And okay, that's fair enough, Nico. Cheeky little 1-2. And there we go. Noble at 5-4. And all of a sudden, you do believe that this is going to be a banging matchup.
Yeah, look, I am very happy to see that this is happening. You know, Noble bringing it back. They weren't looking crash hot at all on their attacks, but right now their defenses are looking great. And Okami are starting to look worse for wear. They doesn't feel like they're contesting as much. I mean, they looked alright in the kitchen dining defense, but that round in particular, I felt like Noble just did a great job at repelling anything that Okami was trying to throw at them, and they never really had the solid map control needed to be able to close out a round.
Going to be asking a lot more of them for now.
Locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
5-1 first half, and all of a sudden it's 5-4. And they have completed the full three-piece. That being, of course, Trophy, Kitchen, and Ames. So I would say somewhat worrying, as we are going to see a very similar hold with Fisho Guy, or you would assume it's going to be Fisho Guy in that extended bedroom closet hold. We also saw, of course, as well, an extended roam from Milo, which we're going to be re-envisaging.
5 seconds to go. Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and
Deep
defuse
setup on the study side of the map. Looked like Derpe was going over to join him, or maybe even set up some rotates. Didn't quite see. Big spawns on the side of Okami in towards Fountain that was spotted by Noble early. So maybe just deciding they might adjust their play. Milo's actually dropped down below. So they're not really sticking to this full hold of study. And maybe it was just based on that early info. And speaking of early info,
no.
Hippie style on a solid pre-fire to Fisher Guy.
That's devastating. That is really worrying here for Noble. Fisho Guy in the prior round was able to absolutely mince Okami trying to push that position, and Derpe, I mean, the question is, does he double down here? Does he continue to try and hold that closet? I believe he's going to have to, or at least try to make something work. The C4 will come out. Is it good enough? He at least catches Ippy style, and now he'll go into the closet. This could be dangerous. He's got the shotgun on close quarters. Okami, they lose favor. But for how long?
He also downed Specker, who actually used Withstand to get up instead of a revive. So he's very low HP. Derpe's being backed up by his teammate. He is in this corner, in amongst the fire, but it has not reached him. Oh, this could be a huge deal for Okami, not realizing that he's been down. And there goes Joker down outside the window. It's fallen apart after such a good start of Ippy getting that pick onto Fisho.
That double firebolt, so unfortunate it didn't catch Derpe. Regardless, it does not look like it's going to play any impact with Milo picking another player. That is Specker. Joker had been down prior as well. It is not going well. They will find... Oh my word. Dub. Hello. Okay, Okami. Welcome back into the game. Noble let slip a monstrous lead.
I can't believe that just fell by the wayside so fast, man. Here we go. Okami in a 3v1. I mean, 2 players tagged quite low. So definitely doable for Nico to bring it back to at least the 1v1. There's still quite a lot of time for Okami to set this up. And you see them carefully just getting these drones around, trying to find where this last player is. They do have that luxury. And Nico is just playing very patient. He's not looking to get too aggressive or overextend. He's going to stay in trophy and wait for the intel from his teammates. Coming into the final 30 seconds. Really important for Nico to try and get this clutch to stop Okami from moving to match point.
Foiling the attempt from Cutie coming into Astro there. That's a big kill. 2 players left. 15 seconds. He's going to back away a little bit more. Hope for someone to peek him solo. It's not going to be. Okami are going to stick it rather late, in fact. He just tries to creep up a little bit closer. Every step he takes gets him one step closer to that diffuser. Jack Daddy, however, and Joker, they step up massive for Okami in the 10th round and send them to match point. Noble will be kicking themselves.
They will. They really brought... That was such a swing kind of round, you know? Like, Okami just started off so well. They got Fisher Guy. I thought, oh, they've cleared out that position so quick. That's going to be it. But Noble caught it back. And then Okami caught it back again. It just absolute back and forth in this bathroom closet position. And, oh my god, this is where it really fell apart for Noble right there, was that double push in towards the closet. Just unbelievable rounds. And look, most importantly now, that's Okami moving to match point. That was the against the green round that they needed. And now Noble, this is it. They need 2 rounds in a row or then this map is out of their hands.
Yep. And they're not going to be sticking around either. They are going to go directly down into kitchen, which it saw success. Now, I say success with an asterisk next to it because it was a 4 versus 2. And Raven, you alluded to the plant spot for Okami not really being in the greatest of positions. So if you redo that round, if you retake that round, Okami were in strong control for such a long time. And it definitely rings the warning bells for Noble here, which this is their map pick. I need to remind everyone at home. It is Villa, which was picked by Noble, Okami, which was picked Okami. Oregon, which was picked by Okami, and then Consulate was the deciding map. We may not get to Consulate at the state that we are. If Okami are able to ride off the back of that round, which we have seen them do so many times before, this could be good night heading into Oregon.
Yeah, in particular, I think of all the attacks I've seen from Okami, this was the round that I felt like their attack looks the best. So let's just see what Noble have done or can do to adapt to this and see if they can hold it. Because I feel like if Noble do actually get a successful defense right here, we probably will see them get the next one and go to OT. So I think this is obviously, this is a huge round right now.
You could almost say it's do or die, Raven. You could almost say. Pretty much so. And Derpate was in a very similar position last time, but did not want to stick around. And that hatch drop we saw played huge dividends for Okami in their kitchen defense. And Okami are aware of that. Jack Daddy with the drone ready. Late attempt to flush out Derpate at this point. And it looks like Specker is going to be leading the charge. Just needs to be a little bit cautious here.
Oh, yeah, not even checking for the ADS either, so wasting an impact from Zofia's lifeline. Just could be detrimental. Does clear the Banshee in the end, but Derpate, well aware of the position. He's going to just slowly pull back to the hatch and drop, and you know what, that's half the round wasted for Okami to get that map control, and they didn't get the pick. Almost cut off by Jack Dad, though. Sees Derpate go past the door, doesn't get the pick. Derpate, lucky to be alive right now, and he's made it all the way back to site.
Oh, that was close, Jack Daddy. He felt the bullets whisker past, but they do not connect, and Derpate can just sit back and get all of the information that he so very well pleases, as Noble can determine how this round really plays out. Still have that vertical presence with 3 players roaming around up there, and Okami making decisions for the round here. Still unclear on what their full objective is just yet.
Yeah, they haven't gone for that vertical control. That's something that's a big deal right now, is they've just opted to push in from around the sides of this site. If Mistyle's going to walk straight at his sheets, Fisher Guy, no idea. Big pick there. It's answered back by President, but with 25 seconds, Okami needs to get their skates on for this attack.
They certainly do. They're going to have to pick up and go in, and it looks like they're attempting to at the very least. Nico with a double kill, and Cutie is all that remains between match point and a potential victory for Okami, and we are headed to match point. Noble, they double down in kitchen, and they find a lifeline.
I do. Really fell apart. I was so concerned when Okami just took sheets so comfortably without answer, but thankfully Noble stepped up in that defense. Right now, this is tight. We could be going to overtime. Aviator Games Room. Successful for Noble last time. In fact, looked quite comfortable for Noble in the previous attempt. So, like I said, I felt like if they won the last round, they would probably get this one and go to OT. Let's see whether that's what happens.
Definitely a site you would have to be feeling comfortable on. And Okami just not having the impact on their attacking rounds that we once thought that they would. They are going to have to tidy this up. It is for overtime, of course, that Noble are playing for, and really to save their map pick, which you would have to say, in the way the vetoes went, is instrumental in heading to that third and deciding map. But we can um and ah rather all we want. This is where the pressure is put back into the hands of Noble. They've done incredibly well to bring it this close after a 5-1 half in favor of Okami. They have to see it out. They have to force this to overtime.
Attackers' objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it. Attackers have dropped
Absolutely,
the bomb.
being their map pick, they don't want to relinquish it.
Recover the diffuser.
They've put up a good fight. As you said, they were facing that 5-1 deficit. It was looking pretty grim. We had all but written them off, but they've really, really fought back here. So let's see what Okami can do on this attack. Looks like they're opting again for heavy study control. Got 4 players rappelling up towards study balcony right now. They want to try and clear this position nice and early. And President, he's got it comfy there. He's got 2 shields and probably a lot of utility to help him with his ADSs and his magnets.
3 ADSs down at the moment. You would say he's more than likely holding them, waiting for the utility to be burnt as much as needed. See magnets now being thrown to the top of the stairs, and flash and throw as much as you want. That is perfect time for the magnet to come out as well.
Yeah, speaking
Although
of perfect
Okami
timing,
are definitely, Okami are definitely sticking to that though.
they are, and look, they use perfect timing of their utility to actually clear that shield. They used that stun grenade straight away to get caught, and then the launcher came through to actually clear it. So really well played, but Specker did lose his life in that little engagement in the attempt of getting top of round. If style lurking below though, they're very much aware there's a player in library. So right now he looks like he's content to try and clear this out. Now that he will, that's Milo losing his life to that. There's another one on the stairs. style doesn't want to take a heads up engagement, and that's exactly why President hits the shot. Beautifully done from him. Noble fight back and putting themselves in a good position for this round.
Jack Daddy getting quite ambitious here on the peaks, and Noble actually need to be a little bit cautious of that. Let's have the line directly into the back of Vault now, as a 3 versus 4, really it just has not seemed like Okami have had any favorable situation bar that kitchen defense all those many moons back. They've had to claw for every single round, and Noble have done a good job in shutting them out. They'll have to do so again here.
So close. I picked out that pick, but missed it. It did tag Fisher on the end, the fire pit from the Vulcan shield. Right now, with 35 seconds, Okami need to find an opening. Cutie does. He gets Fisher. That's going to be important utility off the board. And right now, they are fighting for this. Noble standing up. 25 seconds, Matic. This is about to go boom. Can we see OT?
It doesn't look like it with Jack Daddy finding one. They've still got an isolated player at bar. If they can group up and go for this, it looks like it's exactly what they're trying to do. The C4 comes out, and the double kill from Derpe to send us to overtime in map number 1. Noble, they hold on for a 5-1 half. Would you believe it?
Oh, beautifully placed. Nitrocell from Derpe. Just the Capital even ate it. You saw him bounce off him. That's beautifully placed. Here we go, overtime. Great comeback from Noble in that defense half.
Oh, that was magical. I love that because you could see the fear in Joker The second look. Ah! You can see it from Joker. You can only imagine the comms that were going on in that instance, because that is utter mayhem. And what a decision from Derpe to force them into a round number 13 here on a crucial map in the quarterfinals. Just a reminder for all of you watching at home, the lower brackets don't start until the semi-finals, so the loser of this best of 3 will be out of the running for the Oceanic Nationals playoffs, and it does have some pretty dire consequences at the end of the day.
It really does. Right now, the fact that this is going to overtime, we are starting on a big note here, Matic. This is looking like a solid matchup. I was scared it really wasn't going to be. Okami just looked so good in their defense half. But Noble have also looked good in their defense half. In fact, I would say of the two, I felt like Noble probably looked stronger in their defenses. So
Yep.
It's really just going to come down who can get a breakthrough in OT on these
5
attacks.
seconds remaining. Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
You think that this could potentially be because of that buck ban? Is that potentially why we're seeing such an issue for both of these teams?
I mean, I think it's the case for Noble, but I don't think so for Okami yet. They don't play it as much or rely on it as much as Noble do. Cutie has definitely played a lot of Sledge this season, and I think off the top of my head prefers it. Can't remember actually who Okami's buck player is, because I don't think they actually play it that much. So I think that could be a factor for Noble, but Okami just haven't had the bite you would expect from some of their attacks on Villa.
Considering what we know them to be, it is somewhat disappointing. Now, Okami are looking for a very similar approach to their previous round there. You can see the utility being wasted at the top of main stairs, trying to flush out the 2 shields that they're going to have to deal with here. Magnet doesn't come out in time. It looks like it.
And they've still got the ADSs to deal with too, and there you go. The ADS catches that. Oh, they've just wasted 2 launcher charges. Oh dear. Okami's struggling on the clear this time. They did such a great job in that previous round. Honestly, I felt like Okami were just on point with the clear of the shield. But not to be this time. Noble are going to hold on to that. They're still using this to clear. Like, just unbelievable that Okami are doubling down on taking this position.
It has just continued to get... Oh my word. I don't think it could get too much worse. Okay, there we go. Now we're starting to see a little bit of confidence being brought back. Cutie taking down Fisho. That's a big player to take down as well.
Oh, diffuser.
Jeez, that is a ambitious attempt there, Raven.
It is. Speaking of ambitious, Specker's on site. I don't know. He's just going to push deep and try and find the vault player, it looked like. Jack Dad, in the meantime, he's the one that's tasked with trying to get diffuser back, but the Wamai of President still hanging close by. Low HP. They're fist funneling in. Jack Dad did recover. Vault player. Oh, he's going to use the Vulcan shield beautifully there. Noble fight back. 38 seconds. Can Okami hold on to this attack?
Derpe with 2 just insane reads in the last 2 rounds to deny Okami more side access. Cutie this time though, will they expect this player? No, it doesn't make a difference. Cutie gets to him first. Now he'll hold classical as both players are study side. Cutie needs to hit this shot to begin with. He does do so. Milo now, he's left in a 1 versus 2. We've seen some massive things from Milo, but that is almost undoable. And Okami, they will secure the first round of overtime and push it to match point in favor of them.
Cutie with a big round, and it feels like it just took that 1 round. We said it, you know, Cutie, he hasn't had the big map that we've seen from a lot of the regular season. He stood up in that round, and it was huge for Okami. They've won an attack on Aviator Games. Now they get to go onto the defense. History would say it's likely they'll get the dub right here at an 8-6, but history would have said also that Noble would have been up 7-6 right now.
Very true. That is very true. We are going to be heading back to the AVG. Aviator Games, obviously, for those not following. Mirror just shown face and swapped out for the smoke. Interestingly enough, Derpe will stick the lion.
Changing it up, I like it. You know, this is what it's about. You've got to change things. We criticized Noble a little bit in their first half when they were attacking, that they weren't adapting, they weren't changing things enough. So they've made some changes here. Let's see what they do with their attack, whether they still push the same way or whether they've got a bit of a different approach coming in.
Looks pretty similar for now as to what we saw in the first half from Okami, but whether they decide to stick it or not. Is that Fisher guy's drone upstairs? I feel like it almost was. So a fair bit of information being gained from that. Milo, is that under the pool table? My word. There could be a fair bit of information early on for Noble with those drones, should they have been placed in the right position. And it does seem like we do have a rehost, ladies and gentlemen. So to apologize for the inconvenience in possibly what was the last round, and if not, it's one of two last rounds. So we do apologize to bring you back here, but of course, when the rehosts are called, we do come a knocking, and back we are. Raven, 5-1 first half, Okami, 5-1 second half for Noble. What is going on in this first matchup?
Yeah, look, it was obviously very defender-sided so far on Villa, and I talked about that maybe the winner is just going to be who gets the breakthrough on attacks, and Okami, they came out swinging in overtime. They got the first round of overtime, which were their attack. So right now, I think it's a little bit scary for Noble. They've got to dig deep on this attack round. It's their only attack they're going to have to do in OT. If they get this, back to defense they go. But look, I'm a little scared because they struggled so much attacking Aviator games in their first half. As we were saying just before the rehost, criticized them pretty heavily about not really adapting and not taking enough map control. So let's see what they've changed.
It's definitely a change is needed, that's for sure, because that was, I mean, the fact that we've seen two halves that were polar opposites from both teams. Obviously, yes, it's the same half, 5-1 defensive sided. And to be fair, Noble had a very different defensive half than what Okami did. You know, it wasn't like they were playing the same strategies. There were similar things that were quite similar, but obviously not directly the same. So I do feel as though that Okami should be able to back this round up. They should realistically take this last round heading to an 8-6 victory. But regardless, I think Noble, you do have to take your hat off to them, because no matter how defensive sided it is, no matter how well they played in that second half, it is a massive mental game to come back from a 5-1 deficit, knowing all it takes is one round for Okami to be on overtime.
Yeah, you can call something defender-sided, but it's not that simple. It's not like you win the rounds by default. You still actually have to put in the work. So Noble being the ones that were down in the deficit of 5-1, yeah, they did a great job to bring it back at OT. And I want to flip that actually to Okami. You know, coming into overtime, they're the ones that are facing the attack, defense, attack rotation. So 2 attack rounds in overtime. It's not favored, right? So that couldn't be, obviously not a great position to be in. But what they did was they just stepped it up. They turned up that aggression. They weren't able to get top of round stairs. They weren't able to clear out those shields. So they just went deep. And this is what we've seen from Okami before in some of their really successful attacks, is just getting aggressive, just going halfway through the round without the defense realizing.
Yeah, and it is one thing for Okami that just seems to be an issue for nearly every team, is just their unpredictableness when it counts. When Okami need to step up, they have the ability to just change things on a dime. And realistically, again, to reiterate, the fact that you've just come off the back of a 5-1 loss in the second half to then have to face the exact same site that you were having issues on, and just to change things up like that after you were already trying to clear the top of Brown stairs, I do take my hat off in Akami's favor there. I mean, Specker has been actually quite a big player this entire game. I think there were quite a few rounds on the defense half where he was having a really huge impact. But, you know, the decision to go onto site and to put the pressure back onto the Noble players, you know, Derpe, who was on site, who still did a fairly decent job at holding and delaying what felt like the inevitable. I think Derpe in the last 2 rounds for me really have at least given Noble a look in, and he is been a little bit more so quiet in the entirety of the matchup.
Yeah, I feel like this is the story for most of the Noble players, to be honest. They haven't had that standout player stepping up in this game. There were moments
Very
where
true.
Fisho guy had some good rounds, Nico had a couple of good rounds, but there's been no consistent person that stood up. Like what we were talking about with Jack Dad, especially in that first half, he really stood up for Okami. He was definitely an outstanding player for them. It hasn't been the case for Noble. On top of the Okami attack you just talked about, I think something that was just so important was some really good timed synergy. You know, QD executing a pinch in towards games at the same time that Specker took Aviator. So crucial, because sometimes teams, they'll go that deep push, but maybe they just all funnel, or they don't get enough happening from a different direction so the defense can spread out and shut it down. QD really stopped that from happening, and he ended up with a triple on the round. So I think that's a really good sign for Okami. You know, that synergy is definitely there for them.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback on from that, it's pretty much how Derpe was able to win the round, force us to overtime, right? With both players coming from classical, trying to push the player at bar, and Derpe with just a cheeky little Hail Mary over the top, and bada bim, bada boom, before you know it, it was over and done with. And that could potentially be the way it is after this rehost. We are at 7-6. It is an Aviator defense for Okami, and like you were saying, Raven, history, if it is going to serve correct, we could well be done and dusted, as it has been so defender-sided, but that could all change here. What do Noble have in store? The Lion pick on Derpe. First time we've seen it so far this matchup.
It is. So let's see whether it has an impact. And I guess importantly, to bring it back, I want to see some kind of adaptation from Noble. All they've done when they've attacked Aviator games in the past is just try and take the study control and make something happening out of that. And it worked for Okami, but you can't always rely on just a random aggressive push into sight. You have to try and think of something more sustainable. Noble don't really work out too much with a lot of random aggression, so I'd expect something a little bit more structured. So let's see what they try and take more, whether it's even just 90. I think would be great control for them to take on this attack.
Yep. And very quick note, obviously, rehosts, they can throw somewhat of a spanner in the works. Potentially that momentum that was gained by Okami in that last round, it could be squandered at this point, but only time will tell, that is for sure. As we now head into what could potentially be the last round of Villa. It has really been quite drawn out, and full props for Noble to being able to do so. See Nico as well now. They will look to clear that first floor just to ensure this could be the first little opening there. Joker just starting to make steps down over at red. Opts not to.
Yeah, decides not to overextend. And look, that could be an interesting turning point, you know? Like, what if he did aggress and gets the opening pick? It's Okami's aggression in the face of Noble again. Could have worked out really well. So it's the fact that he hasn't done it might come back to bite them. That's going to be a hindsight thing. Right now, Noble have not made much control. They're trying to clear out Epistal again from this brown stairs position, but he is just staying here comfortably behind the shield. Magnets to assist, and ADSs on top of that. So it is not going to be easy, but there's only 2 Noble players doing this. I'm already feeling like there is some adjustments here from Noble in the way that they're trying to take this. And Milo here, over in Trophy, that's a good change.
Very nice call there with that live droning official guy to enable Milo for that early peak. And that could have been quite a big start for Noble in this round. Regardless, it's still the damage done, which I think is going to cause at least a little bit of stress, a little bit of pressure. A minute left here, Raven. Are Noble doing enough, and are they doing it quick enough?
I felt like it was really important for them to get that pick onto Specker, but here we go. The Lion Charge going off. Fisher walks straight into some bullets. This is going to be pretty tough to clear out this top of ground stairs position. President doesn't get the peak. Okami over the top. They get 3 Epistal. If he gets this one, it's going to really be a bit of a nail in the coffin. All up to Derpe Manic with 30 seconds to go.
They called upon him in round 12, and now they're calling upon him in round 14 to send it. to the final opportunity. Dirtbait, he finds Spec Up, but he's got 2 more to go. Joker and Cutie, they hold strong, they wait him out, and eventually Okami will take the map. They'll take the first match in our best of 3 in the quarterfinal, and you have to say the pressure is all on Noble now.
Really is. Losing that map is a big deal for them because now they have to really step it up against Okami on Oregon. But Okami, look, they looked really good on Villa in that first half. Looked a bit scary in the second, but the fact that they got the opening attack round of overtime was a very big deal in this matchup.
And it was, and I mean the problem is I was hoping we were going to be able to see the full scoreboard at the end, because I would love to have seen the full impact that Jack Daddy really had. It felt like he was pretty much in every single round, and what could have been for Noble will now have to head to Oregon to find a way back into this matchup. And we were saying it at the very start in the pre-show, Raven, if it goes to Oregon and Okami have the map advantage, I just don't know whether we're going to see Noble bring this back. It is a uphill battle, to say the very least.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be tough into map 2 for Noble, but they've let it through for a reason, right? They didn't ban it in their first ban, so that just gives me a little bit of hope for Noble that they've got something up their sleeve. It was the map that they lost to Okami on in the regular season as well, so maybe there's been enough key learnings out of that where they really are going to back themselves to be able to try and take it all the way to map 3.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to, ladies and gentlemen. On the other side of this break, we head to Oregon. If Noble cannot pull this victory out, it's done and dusted. We'll see you on the other side.
Just faster than you. I'm so sorry that I wasn't really there for me. Just faster than you. Cause nobody else is showing any empathy. Rudely awake and quiet undertaking. Did I do something wrong? Life isn't easy. Why did you leave me here with my thoughts alone? I can everybody even use an enemy? Brutally awakened, quiet undertaking, did not do nothing wrong. Life isn't easy, why did you leave me here to get drunk alone? And I don't wanna wake up messed up, 'cause I can't spend another day like this. Another type of caked up breakup, where I've been finding any way to my fix. But I need you now, 'cause I don't wanna be around. No, I don't wanna wake up messed up. There's gotta be another way past this. If I am so wrong and so gone, miserable, won't you stick around just for some be visible? But you don't, no, you don't care. Leave me to suffer, erase all the doubt, pouring Jack in my mouth, and a love with enough for the pain and the drugs to be present for now. All I might know, I don't wanna wake up messed up, 'cause I can't spend another day like this. Another type of caked up breakup, where I've been finding any way to my fix. But I need you now, 'cause I don't wanna be around. No, I don't wanna wake up messed up. There's gotta be another way past this. Even when it's so sweet, I end up seeing red. Is it such a ghostly revelation?
And we're back. Match number 1 is done for the day, and we are only getting started. The best of 3 between Noble and, oh my goodness, I nearly forgot the name for a second, Okami. That's what that last match did to me. 2 rehosts and an overtime has absolutely fried my brain, and we are only getting started in the day. That is how intense it was. And of course, now, realistically, looking back at the match, we are leaning to Okami's favor for this entire series, because this really does put a lot of pressure on Noble.
It does, because look, that was Noble's map pick on Villa. So now that we are going into Okami's map pick of Oregon, of course, by default, you're going to start thinking, oh, Okami's probably got this 2-0. So if I'm Noble, it's a bit concerning, but as I said before, if Noble let this through, like, they could have banned Oregon right at the start. It was the last map that Okami played 4 times in a row in the regular season. So they let it through. There has to be a reason behind that. I'm really curious to see how Noble do show up on Oregon.
And that is one of the things as well, is like, it is one beautiful thing that we talk about a lot, and unfortunately we don't get to highlight it mid-season because they are best of ones, and it's 6 bans in a map pick. It's pretty intense when you look at it. But when we get into the best of 3s and we see what map is banned first, then we start to get a bit more of an insider information as to what's going on. And like you're saying, the fact it's been let through, and obviously Okami are going to pick it. I could not see a world in which Okami do not pick Oregon. After the season that they've had on it. They've just looked so strong. Teams like the Knights, like Wildcard, and even Noble themselves. Like, it has been a very good showing for them. So potentially this is where they fall. This is the map that really could be their undoing, because Consulate, we still really don't know what to expect from either of these teams.
Yeah, and look, actually, on the point of Consulate, it's actually the second least played map in the regular season. It only got played once. And surprisingly, we haven't seen a lot of it. So yeah, look, if we go to map 3, I think it could be a real interesting little X factor.
Certainly could be, but we have to get there first, and we cannot without Oregon. Oregon is the map pick of Okami and Noble. The last time these two teams played, it was in fact on this gorgeous map, a 7-3 victory in favor of Okami. History is not serving too well in Noble's favor, but they could turn the tides here, and it starts in the ban phase, of course. As always, good luck, have fun, and I am always looking for Specker's messages, because He just always gives a little bit more than just the good luck, have fun.
Might have missed this one, but anyway, let's see what the bans go. It's Okami with the first ban. They're going to go for the Nomad, so not going for the Buck this time. So let's see what Noble back up on these. But I felt like the Buck ban was pretty significant on Villa for Noble. I think that was really something that threw them off just a touch.
Yep. We will not see it. It doth not be shown as already... I mean, we could have predicted that. I don't think Noble are going to ban it themselves, so... Jaeger will be... Well, I feel like Jaeger was such a nuisance in that last game, particularly for Okami on those attacks. At the obviously over at Aviator, holding Brown stairs with the 2 shields, the 3 ADSs, and then you saw it in Closet with that bedroom extension. So potentially playing into the hand of Okami even a little bit, but we'll wait and see what happens here. Mirror being banned off as the last operator, and we will be headed into round number 1. Some sauce to follow, no doubt.
No doubt. I'm going to zone in on this Jaeger ban. I feel like this is... I mean, it's going to be quite troublesome for one, but it's a target ban we've seen against Okami in the past. Ippy style, you can guarantee he is probably going to be playing Jaeger in the defense halves for Okami. So the fact that he has to play a different operator that he doesn't play a whole lot of, it can destabilize him enough where he just doesn't have much of an impact. It is proven and happened in the past. So he's going to have to play different operator like Wamai, which we normally see Jack Dad on, for example. And he might be really negated. And if that means that somebody else has to rotate their pick, that could be 2 players that are playing out of a comfort zone. So I do like the Jaeger ban from Noble.
We haven't really seen a whole lot of it from memory. In fact, we might actually go down and have a very quick look. I don't think we've seen it banned once. We haven't. So this will be the first time in ANZ that we've seen it banned in this particular season anyway. And on the back of that, I think that also we've seen Milo play a lot of the Jaeger heavy kind of roaming attempts, especially in the last match we saw of them on Oregon. So this will be a lot of fun to see what they're going to be doing here. Okami, there we go. How do you like that one?
See how it works out. Looks like a very aggressive hold in blue, which we've come to love and see. But of course, there's no ADSs this time. So really is going to be hard down on these magnets. Ippy just running out to get that drone, maybe not realizing how dangerous that was because there was a player ready to pounce on that. Could have been very deadly. And that's a shield gone early, which is a solid commodity in the pocket of a defense.
It looked like that nade got both the Banshee and the shield, unless my eyes were deceiving me. So too little too late for the Magnet to come out and save either of those. And now Noble obviously using a little bit of their utility early on. Don't think they'll be too pressured here. Nico, oh my word. That's not what you're looking for if you're Okami.
No, definitely not the player that's QD off the board. Of course, an impactful player in general for Okami. Did have a somewhat quiet map 1, but he did step up when it counted. So this is a great start to this attack from Noble, honestly. They've obtained really good map control. They're in meeting. They're opening up this electrical hatch nice and early. This is a really solid start from them.
Ippy Style potentially realizing that if he drops that there, it could even play into the hand of Noble should they decide to push it. But now, as you said, timing is working incredibly well for Noble. And in fact, not only in pairs, they obviously still need to flush out Pillar, but they can start to put more pressure from Electric. Specker just not really sure whether a player's dropped there or not.
And again, this is really good pressure onto Pillar. They haven't cleared out blue yet, so this is probably going to be the next hurdle. If they want to take rear stairs and take Pillar, they need to try and get blue cleared out, because otherwise it may not work out too favorably. So here we go. We've got Milo and President starting to push through to the double door. It's mainly Joker that they're going to want to clear here. Jack Dad trying to support from the doorway. He is going to get absolutely flashed by that Candela. Good trade from Noble. Now they're in a solid position.
Roka fortunate to get one in that encounter. You'd have to say Jack Daddy will get one for free if he hits that shot. It could really cause trouble for Noble. In fact, it's all Ippy style in a 1 versus 3. He's got the position to deny them onto site here. Has to be cautious though of that opening. If he hits it, he's got a lot to deal with here, Raven, but he's doing well. In fact, he's still being able to line these players up. 10 seconds left as he reassigns himself.
So he's just going to stay patient, and that means President's got to try and stick this. Has to be perfectly covered by Nico. It's not. Ippy style looking for Planter. It's not this site. He does see the tail end, but oh my god, President turns around and gets Ippy style with the Vulcan. Oh, the timing on that. Unbelievable, Manic.
I cannot believe what I've just seen in that round. It looked like Ippy style was going to run away with it, but the plant spot, even though it was in the open, just too little too late. And the Vulcan shield not working in favor there. I really thought Jack Daddy was going to swing onto that second player, but Ippy style hats are taken off because that was a very decent effort.
Very decent effort.
God, you can see how
unfortunate.
close.
Oh, unbelievable. I thought he had it, honestly. Really thought he had it, Manic.
Yeah. It was too close. It was really too close to call, in all honesty. I even think that the shield potentially aided in the Noble player getting away in that instance, so double-edged sword or what? Now, Noble, rather Okami, are not looking to stick that basement defense. In fact, they will just move nice and early across to the Dorm's defense. And once again, just to reiterate, we've seen a lot of that Valk play especially on Oregon. It just seems to be such a strong suit for the defensive side and a mainstay for many ANZ teams.
This outside cam we've seen from Cutie in the past, and it rarely is spotted because we're not seeing a lot of IQ in the attack lineups. I think it's usually up on the wall though, so I think he's missed it out. And Derpe, he's spotted that on a drone, so that is going to be nullified pretty quick, I'd say, by Noble.
That's the kind of thing that we're expecting to see from Noble, right? 4 matches that you're able to spot, that you're able to go back and re-watch on how Okami play. And I'm surprised that Cutie hasn't really tried to adapt that Vault Cam potentially for somewhere different. Regardless, now they will only have the 2 Vault Cams up, and on the back of that, a little bit less information, which we saw in one of the matches in particular. It was completely detrimental, so that will give him all of the bedroom and into closet, but wait and see how this really affects the round, and if it does at all.
Surprised to not see a more attic-oriented presence here from Noble. Generally what you do see a lot of from attacks onto this side is they will take that attic presence and really push down. It does give you some solid map control. It's actually quite important. But the fact that they've spent half the round not even going near it, I actually think they're going to ignore it. So I'm very curious about how the rest of this push will go. And there it is, Jack Dad. He's going to go. Fisher Guy just legs it into kitchen. Specker, unbeknownst to his teammate at all. And that's a good start for Noble in this round again.
Certainly is. We've seen how important that vertical pressure really is, and Nico taking down Cutie as well. They're just making situations even worse. Ippy style though, he could be the player to step up for Okami. In the previous round as well, it was so close in a 1 versus 3 to potentially swifting rather in the favor of Okami here. Is Noble seem to be putting on the pressure a little bit more, Raven. In they go, and the pressure is well and truly on Okami.
Huge confidence from this Noble attack right now. Actually quite incredible. Presence in, he's planting. Ippy style all up to him yet again on the Wamai. He's on this flank from Armory Stairs. Seems like his position's known. We just saw a pre-fire come out. Candela's going off. This retake is going to be tough for him, Manic. He's got 35 seconds to try and make it happen.
Needs to find one. And just continue that slow, inevitable focus, and it's not even going to be allowed to. It's stamped out automatically. Noble with 4 players left alive on this attacking side, and they are looking so strong right now. Okami, they're going to have to change something up here.
I'm going to say it now. Noble look like they're well prepped on this map. So it's something we highlighted, right? Okami, yeah, they played Oregon for their last 4 regular season matches. 3 wins and a 5-7 loss to Wildcard. That's strong and all, but that's also a lot of information for a team to try and counter you on. So I think Noble have done their research. They look really, really confident with these attacks. And if they do manage to continue this trend of just being able to stop Okami in the attack half, looking pretty good for a Noble win right now.
Yep, I would definitely agree with you on that statement. And it would obviously be the opposite of what we've been talking about pretty much the entirety of the pre-show in map number 1, but of course that's just what happens. You only have the information to go off, and right now Okami, they really need to change things up. They have to get this back in their favor, because I think we've seen potentially one map where an attacking sided half was really being, was held on to at the very least. So not that promising for Okami, and not a great way to start out this attempt in the quarterfinals, which do have some pretty hefty consequences.
It will. And look, I felt like we said quite a bit, this map could have gone 2 ways. One is Okami might just come out strong because, they've been strong on this map in general. But at the same time, there had to be a reason why Noble let it through, right? If it's so obvious that Okami is strong in it, why not make that your initial ban? So I think right now that really indicates that Noble did have something up their sleeve. Of course, we're only 2 rounds deep, so it's a bit early to call, but the form has been solid from Noble, and this is really important on Okami to just not let this get out of control. Milo on the absolute hunt here of Ippy pushes down Freezer, but Ippy does get away just in time.
Noble playing with such confidence as well. Not only are they assertive in the way that they're able to do this, but just, I mean, that's a really good sign right there, just showing how confident they are on those openings. Milo just being live drone in and with no hesitation trying to find something early. Look at the control. Noble just able to open this hatch. And a lot of real estate being taken, but at the same time, Okami turtling on site. 1:30, and definitely say they're making good time on this attacking side.
Actually, something that's a bit strange is all of Noble are in meeting right now. Like, all of them. I'm not sure if maybe this might end up being some kind of mid-round rush or just trying to catch Okami off guard. But it's a lot of pressure to be putting, or just a lot of presence to have in meeting, when you could be spending that time in blue or pushing down rear stairs or some other part of the push. They are finally spreading out. You see Nico is pushing down the rear stairs. Looks like President is going to go join him. Less than a minute to go. They haven't got any blue control, which is going to be a little bit tough. Cutie just legs it up. Oh my gosh. Cutie just demolishes Noble. Oh, I cannot believe he got away with that, Matic.
What is this read from Cutie? Oh, wowzers. 3 kills on the back of an aggressive play, and he's going to get away scot-free as well. They thought potentially they had his number picked, holding from that meeting line. This is what we needed to see from Okami. And Derpe has nothing to claw back in this round. Flawlessly done from Okami, but regardless, that's something that we have expected from them time and time again.
Huge, absolutely huge, and just Okami can thank Cutie for that, man, because if Cutie had not gotten away with that aggressive play, I honestly feel like that whole round could have gone so differently. But the fact he was able to just yeet up, blown away.
I mean, the fact that it's not only does he get aggressive, but he gets away with all of it as well is just absolutely ridiculous. By the way, hello, rehost. We're getting back into it as soon as we possibly can. But that, I think, Raven, we were really positive for Noble there. We thought they'd made some good time. They were really starting to put the pressure back into Okami on that basement defense. But this is what we were alluding to a little bit more so in that first map with what Cutie can really do when he's given that. I don't want to say the confidence, because it's not just confidence, but this is just what we've seen from Cutie through and through. He is able to step up when they need him to. And I mean, the first 2 kills are just absolutely ridiculous. The third is just an attempt for a refrag and is pretty much a consolation. But it's just one of those things right now that I think Noble will just put in the back pocket and say, okay, whatever we had, it was a good round up until then, and that we just.
Yeah, look, they need to be able to move past it, obviously, and let's break it down. I mean, Cutie, like you said, it's about him seizing those opportunities, and I was really highlighting it was quite strange that there was just all 5 players of Noble hanging out in meeting, and I was expecting maybe they were just going to drop hatch and try to do something a little bit unpredictable, and in hindsight, that probably would have worked out a lot better. But what the symptom of them not having that further map control is Cutie just felt like there was no one on rear stairs. So he's like, I'm going to creep up, not hearing anything. Creep up more, not hearing anything. Okay, I'm just going to go. By that stage, Noble players had started to move, but it was far too late. If there was just somebody on the stairs pre-firing, they don't even have to be trying to peek. Just suppress fire. Don't let the defense feel like there's an opening. And so I think that's the real downside to what Noble did.
Looking back at these rounds as well, first round, a 1v3. Second round, a 1v4. And had that have seen out the full time, potentially that could have been another round that was heavily favorable for Noble. But there is this real feeling like Noble have got this picked on their defensive side. I think my main concern will be when Okami head to their attacking half, what Noble are able to do, because like obviously Noble are a very good team, there's no doubt about it, but Okami have played 4 straight maps on this, and what's that, 2, 3, potentially 3 games they've seen out at least 6 rounds on their attacking side, so they would be feeling pretty confident once it does flip back over, and that round there could potentially be the start of something new for them.
Yeah, potentially. I'm still waiting to see how the rest of the rounds play out, because there's a couple of things for me that doesn't make me feel any more comfortable about Okami's performance, because that round win just then was really off the back of Cutie just seizing that opportunity. Total whiff from Noble as well. I mean, President on the refrag peeking back into the door, didn't get the pick. So if that was refrags, maybe things could have been a bit different. You never really know. But on top of that, of all the defenses that you should be winning, it should be laundry. It's generally the way that Oregon has trended, is it's like a 70 or 80% win rate on that site. So even if you're struggling your defenses, you should be winning your laundry, and then it's about what you do on the other sites. So right now, that's the situation we're in. What will Okami do with their other sites? Top 4, for example, they got totally dismantled by Noble.
Yeah, and that it really just came from Noble almost with full confidence, right? They took out that vertical control with, I think there was a minute 30 left, and you saw Derpe on that Ying go straight in the game's window, and before they knew it, the plant was going down, and it was a 2 versus 4 at most. So it is a lot of this for me with Noble is just showing really good signs early on. And like I keep alluding to, this third map that we could potentially go to of Consulate, I really don't have a good clue in as to who's going to really have the upper hand in that match. And I think that one is going to be interesting should we get there. And if we're just going off the trend of how this has gone so far in the first 3 rounds, Noble are definitely looking like they're set. They're set to send us to a third, and realistically, this could be a quarterfinal that Okami look back on and wonder what could have been, because even that first map wasn't overly convincing from what we've seen, especially of late from Okami.
Yeah, well, I mean, map 1 was overtime, right? So it's definitely not a convincing victory. It's very, very close. And right now, it feels like Noble are very much in control. The scoreline is 2-1. But again, I feel like that last round was really just opened up by Cutie on a solid play. without that happening, it felt like it was going to be a Noble round. Just their time management had generally been good. Their procedure of their attack has generally been really good. Just a touch questionable in that last round, but regardless, it's just the vibe right now is that Noble feel like they're breaking ahead from Okami. It's really important that Okami do keep it in touch because, yeah, Consulate, super unknown for us. Again, my gut feeling is maybe it's stronger for Okami because in the past, it has been a good map for Okami. But at the same time, you know, Noble might have been saving it. You just don't know that kind of stuff.
It's been sitting in the back pocket just waiting for the right time, and this is as good a time as any. By the way, if you are just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, we are currently in the second match. Obviously, if you want to keep up with all the kind of the little pieces of information, just look down at the ticker below us and it will give you pretty much everything you need. But just for the context, we are in the second match of our first best of three. The first map went 8-6 in favor of Okami on Villa. That was in fact the map pick of Noble. And now we are potentially seeing a reverse sweep if Noble are able to continue how they've started. And that's the big question, is always after rehost is, you know, I think Noble are one of those teams where rehost wouldn't affect them as much as potentially Okami. In the way that Noble seem to be a lot more structured for most of their gameplay. And that's not a dig at all at Okami, I will add that. Okami are very good and very quick to adapt. So we'll wait and see whether this actually affects either of these teams, but heading into it, Noble are looking much, much stronger.
So sticking this Ying pick as well, which worked out very well the last time they attacked this side. As we said, they really dismantled Okami in this attack. I think they had 4 bodies up at the end of the day after a plant as well. So see whether it works out as strong. And you said Okami, they're good adapters. Right now they need to, because it's not just enough to win laundry defenses, especially off the back of a solid play from Cutie. You need to be able to be winning these other sites to be successful on Oregon. So I think this is a really big round for Okami right now. If they bring this back to a 2-2, they've kind of negated that early momentum and control that Noble had.
Yep. I think you can see as well, Derpe just ensuring no early peaks. Obviously the opening Joker looking directly out that line. Nico's going to be able to spot him as well, so Derpe might be able to pre-fire that angle if he wishes to. Is this premeditated? Joker just on the inside line, so he will be safe until, oh my word, Derpe looked away for half a second. Elsewhere on the map though, Ippy Style going down, who has had a huge impact in those first 2 rounds. Not the greatest start for Okami.
No, it's definitely a big loss there. It's the Wamai, and of course it's not just a gunner, so to speak, from Ippy Style. It's the fact that Wamai generates magnets over time. So lose him in the first minute, it's a lot of magnets and utility catching you don't have. When Jaeger's banned, big deal. So that's a solid pick for Noble.
A point. President may have a good clue in here as well. Pretty happy to take the control of Trophy. Backing each other up, both partners in crime here. Flash out just to ensure that there is none of those magnets that they need to deal with. And potentially that Jaeger ban could really throw a bit of a spanner in the works for the defensive side, regardless of who's playing on it. Something to keep in mind and keep your eyes on. President White swinging on the drone right after he'd done the exact same thing prior. Milo will catch Joker though. This is really not going well for Okami here, Raven.
Oh, again, Noble stepping it up on the attack of this top floor. Really started well, taking out Ippy Style and Joker. There's still a minute to go. It feels like Noble are very much in control of the rounds. And there we go. They're going to take out Specker, so I don't see this really going in a different direction. Stranger things have happened, so we'll see how they finish it off. But the control right now, very solid. Jack Dad answers back with 1 at least. And in fact, that's 2. That's a team kill.
Oh, no.
All of a sudden, Matic, it's a 2v2.
Cutie as well is, I was going to say, in a decent position to be able to refrag with Jack Daddy, but regardless, it's actually Jack Daddy that finds that kill. This show now, 1v1. There is so much time to play with here, and that is the advantage that Noble have had coming into this last round. They really have been able to play with it as much as they needed to. Jack Daddy will not be able to stop that defuser, and now he's got 40 seconds to react to this. He is going to try to look for that early line to try and cut off any thought of a rotate. but Fisho Guy will win it out. A 5 versus 2 that narrowly comes down to a 1v1, but Noble still proceed with the round regardless.
They do. Looked scary, man. I thought they were set when they were going for that plant, but really went to pieces. There was a team kill in there as well. Unbelievable. But they edge out. I think this is again where it gets a bit scary for Okami. They have not yet secured a defense outside of laundry. They're going to try kitchen dining hall, something we haven't seen attempted. They're showing a warden right now. Maybe it's going to be the 6th pick and not locked in. Jack Dad isn't confirmed right now. Really toying with it. You know what? It would be a great counter to this Ying.
And he's locked it in.
Hey.
Well, well, well. Welcome to the server. This is definitely something to change the adaptation. And in fact, they are going to go to that dining. They're not. I had not noticed that. In fact, it's not the dorms. They're not going to be reattempting it because both times they have literally been picked apart piece by piece, Raven.
They have. Really, really have. Noble threw it away a little bit in that previous round, but just the opening phase of his attacks have been solid. So I like this from Okami. You know, you want to keep your opponent guessing. If you keep repeating sites that you're losing, it's just helping your opponent feel comfortable, and it starts to get a little bit psychological at that point too. You know, if you're constantly losing the same site over and over, it doesn't feel great. Feels good in your opponent's end. So yeah, I like this. On top of that, I just realized that Okami have brought 3 shields on top of the Vulcan shields. So many shields to be cleared right now.
That is going to be fun, that's for sure. And they do obviously have a fair bit of utility on the side of Noble with Fisho and Nico presumably on the nades. That's not the best way to start. Cutie just gets absolutely removed. He's benched for the entirety of this match.
Yeah, it looked like there must have been a sneaky drone in behind those containers in the left corner of that doorway. I don't know. He was definitely on drone though, because that swing was with purpose, and Cutie did not see it coming. Another great start from Noble. They're going to try and flush out Ippy style now in those showers, because once you get the control of showers and hallway, it really starts to enable you to be able to get a dining plan. It's about covering the long angle or clearing out kitchen. But it does start with clearing this room out, as Jack Dad does find Derp. That's going to be an important pick, taking out that Ying.
Jack is definitely going to be one that we look to stand up here. They still haven't been able to get rid of their shield, not just yet. They are burning through a fair bit. More lions being held now on the side of Noble. Oh, President really on the receiving end of Ippy style. Happy and freely peeking out there. He will not be able to stop that Selma charge though. He gets caught on the way out as well. And it is falling apart once again for Okami. They're still in this with a shot though, Raven.
Still got some good positions, and there's still a minute to go. Specker and Joker are the ones alive. Joker is going to be a big key for that with the gas grenades. Specker also has a C4 for denial. So yeah, it's definitely doable. But Noble have some really good map control right now. They've taken showers, they've taken in through rear tower. It's just about them finding these final positions and deciding what to clear. And here it goes. The first plant is going down. Is he going to stick it? No, Nico is not going to stick it. He gets off of it. Thought he might have. And with the last 30 seconds getting close, Noble is going to do what they can to bait out this utility and try to get this plant down.
There's 2 smoke babes used. That's a huge kill from Joker on the SMG. And Specker, he can't assist more in this round. We just saw him try to rotate in there. Joker now looking to come back from security. He doesn't have any more smoke babes, so he has to go for a straight up gunfight. It's not going to work. And Noble once again looking so dominant on their attacking side of Oregon.
They are, and there must have been a drone in that hallway, because 3 people died to that hallway in pretty strong fashion, I'd have to say. So, look, Noble on top of Okami on these attacks is definitely a concern for Okami, given this is their map pick, the strength they've had before, and just momentum on Noble's side right now is solid.
Momentum just slowly but surely continuing to just roll on and roll on. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's good to see you all again. But look, I really, the one thing that does concern me, right, is this is exactly like what we saw from Okami on the first half of Villa. So I'm not overly confident in everything that's going on right now. Obviously, Noble are going to be in favor of pretty much, I would say, this last round that we're coming into, and it should, I do say should, be a 5-1. And from there, I mean, I think the thing that sticks out like a sore thumb is just those basement defenses, Raven. We have looked at it time and time again and said that is the round that you have to lock in. So at the very least, you have to be coming out with a 2-4 defensive half. Like, that's just how it needs to be. And right now, Okami are still set to, at the bare minimum, make the request that we ask for, but they still have to get over this hurdle.
They do. I mean, a key difference between map 1 and map 2 is that it was defender-sided on Villa, which, you know, sometimes you see that. But Oregon right now, this is attacker-sided. This is Noble excelling on their attacks. Nowhere near as common. So I think that's the big concern for Okami. On top of the fact, this is Okami's map pick that they have presented as their strongest map throughout the regular season. So to be getting dismantled and to lose this map would be very, very big.
I'm somewhat surprised we haven't seen a clubhouse thrown in here in this best of 3. That's for sure. But with this, I think that Okami realistically, like, this, you know, we said it multiple times in the last game on Villa. It's the do or die kind of rounds. And this for Okami, it feels like if they cannot convert this round successfully, that's almost sticking a fork in it, because we may as well be done at that point. It does not look like they've started out on the right trend either. Specker being taken down quite low in the first engagement over toward Frieza. It looks like we're seeing an antsy player in Laundry as well. Ippy Style decides better of it and backs away once more. But so far, Okami really haven't been given a lot in this game.
All right, and look, you see on that overhead, they're all back on site. That roam not being particularly fruitful. In fact, Specker got tagged up quite heavily. So Noble with all of the map control right now. This is what we saw last time, though, and it was Cutie. Got aggressive and opened it up. Ippy Style, maybe he tried that, maybe not. Either way, he's dead now. And Noble, they have a man advantage coming into this final minute of this round.
I literally think all but one we've seen Okami have a man advantage. So history usually serves correct, and it's a great indicator for that as well. The reasoning being Okami could be in serious strife here. Looks like they're going to be putting a bit of attention toward Laundry as well. Joker and Speck are there to try and hold.
Very important 30 seconds. Depe trying to get through on Laundry. He's got Nico with him. That's not where Kit is, though. Diffuser is actually held elsewhere, as Milo's got a nice crossfire in Frieza. Really good control again from Noble, but they need to capitalize. Right now, it's 20 seconds as 2 of them go down, Manic.
Oh my word, the flashes, they blind everyone, and unfortunately, it's not really looking in favor of Noble just yet. Derpe was down, he will be picked back up, and Noble, they have to get aggressive here. There's a second on the board. Are they going to get the diffuser down in time? No, they will not, no matter how hard they try. Okami will walk away with that map, and in that, a 4-2 half will stay intact for an opportunity, I will say opportunity, for Okami to come back in this one.
Yeah, but again, I've highlighted a lot, you know, sometimes to be successful in Oregon, or not sometimes, generally to be successful in Oregon, you need to win more than your Laundry defenses, and that is all Okami won, were Laundry defenses. So they're going to have to pull out some big guns on these attacks, because traditionally you would see this to be pretty strong, and Noble, all they need to do is, based on meta, you know, win one site that's not Laundry. In theory, they would get the map win then, assuming they win their Laundry defenses, if it's the same trend as Okami.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
But also, if we're going to follow on trends, then we're going to see overtime. So that's just the way it is right now.
Yes.
It's good fun. It's good fun. It keeps us on our toes. But a 2-4 gives me a little bit of faith. I will say that. The tiniest fraction that there will be a chance in this one. And down in basement, they're not going to opt for that meeting hatch being reinforced. So looks like they will put a fair bit of attention upstairs as well, Raven.
Attackers must locate and defuse
Big
a
telling
bomb.
sign here. If Noble can get up to the 5-2 scoreline, I think it will be a pretty big deal for them. But of course, as we saw in map 1, the comebacks might be possible. Doesn't look like they're going to hard hold a meeting room. Nico almost pre-fired off the face of the earth just then. Very lucky that that wasn't a little bit lower. Bullet sailed over his head. Could have been quite scary. And looks like Okami, they're just going to hard take blue early, Manny.
That is a lot of utility expended so early there. You could hear smokes, flashes, all sorts coming out. They've got a lot of information with those drones coming around the corner now. And Fisho, you may just be able to hold this for a moment longer. That is an interesting double shield there for Derpe, but it's going to be a really early start there with Nico taking down Spec Up. Obviously can still get picked back up, but this is absolute medlem in blue right now.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
It is. And Noble coming out on top. More importantly than anything else, that is the big deal right now, is that Noble are looking to go. Ippy Style, speaking of go, he chases. He fully chases. He just goes straight through the site. He does get Fisher Guy, but he gets down. Now he's been taken out. Not sure whether that was really going to work out ever in his favor. And right now it's a 3v3, Manic.
Guess they've forced back the player that wasn't blue, so they've taken control. That's one way of doing it. Oh, Milo goes to reinforce the wall from what it looked like, and Jack Daddy was sitting there waiting for it as well. He'll be able to open up a little bit more with the rest of the Selma charges, which I'm sure he still had 2 of. And this is not great for Noble. They need to be so careful at this point. Nico and President are going to need to step up here.
They are. I've emphasized it a lot, you know, the importance of these laundry defenses. Nico is out of SMG ammo, it looked like, so he's going to have to try and shotgun this. President, he's taken out by Cutie, though. It is all on Nico, Manic, and still so much time for Okami. It's going to be a very tough round for him, I'd say.
C4 opts not to use it for the denial. In fact, he tries to go to alleviate that pressure in blue, and it does not pay dividends. That, ladies and gentlemen, is one way that you go to take a laundry defense. Just send it with a ying. Just Candela out and peace out.
Hell, like taking a page out of Noble's book, because they really were using that ying. And here's Ippy Style again, going to be going on the ying. See if he sticks it, and see what Noble try to do to adapt. They are actually not going to repeat laundry either. They go up to kids' dorms. And look, if I'm Noble, I think that's a bit of a concern, that they just got dismantled on that laundry defense.
They really got destroyed. That is probably the best and only way to put it in that instance. I think that that's again, that round in particular, I think highlights incredibly well what Okami can do when they just commit to one decision. And right then and there, not great. I definitely agree with you on that. We still have plenty of time for Noble to claw that back and right their wrongs, but sheesh, that's a big one to start off with.
Look, Ying is a great pick, and it's good to see that both these teams have been abusing it, so to speak, because of that Jaeger ban. Magnets will catch the Candelas, yes, but they're still going to go off. So if those magnets are in positions where the Candela can still have a solid effect, it's going to happen. You either have to place the magnets thinking of Candelas, or just be able to put up with it. So I think just the choice of bringing Ying is really great. As you've seen, it's really paid off, and maybe that is really just swinging Oregon right now to feel a little bit attacker-sided.
Milo, who we know usually is all about that roam life across in Big Tower. Usually we see him on that Jaeger, but obviously you can slot right in, Malusi. And Cutie playing with dangerous territory there. If Milo were to inevitably make a decision, it looks like he is going to fall back a little bit deeper onto that southwestern side of the building to join up with Nico.
Yeah, quite all over the place. Just trying to split the resources of Okami. Okami having a slower start to the attack of this top floor than what we saw from Noble, at least. Specker, he looks like he's actually crouch walking quite deep in towards this room. He's going to kind of sneak up from Freezer. It's going to be important for the defense to keep track of because that's Nico in kitchen, and if he is not aware of that position, could be quite deadly, to be honest.
Opening it up now. He does give away his position somewhat, and Specker, he will hard hold the line to security. Still needs to be quite cautious in making any sort of movement there. It looks like they have right stairs under control with Milo, so the refrag could potentially happen if Specker does decide to go for this. Here the pings being sent as Specker just treading with the utmost caution here. Milo pre-firing the angle, and Specker
Oh my god!
somehow gets Nico in amongst all the midst of madness. What?
That was a mad flick from Specker, and look, Milo looked like he was thinking about contesting, but he's going to bail away. Actually, no, he doesn't. Specker is being refragged now by Milo. This puts Noble in a better position, and with 45 seconds, the onus is really on Okami right now to try and get more control here and make something happen. I haven't been able to do so. As I say that, though, Jack Dad finally gets rid of Milo. So with 30 seconds to go, this looks like it's going to just end up exploding on a site, and this Ying looks like it's going to facilitate this manic.
Certainly will. Lippy style first in. He'll be able to find the first free kill. Traded out nicely by Fisho Guy. Efficiently so. In comes the nade. It doesn't hit anything, but now he's going to be cautious of the windows. He loses control of the kids' room for now. 2 players for Noble here. As 10 seconds starts to tick away, they're going to have to step up. Okami, it doesn't look like they're able to find these fights. And Jack Daddy, what can he get done? Cutie's the one that actually initiates it. Oh, with a second left, Cutie just catches Fisho Guy. It looked like they may have been able to force out that plant a little longer. But Okami still are making this work, Raven. And it is getting a little bit dangerous here.
Yeah, they are. They're hanging in there. And Noble are not finding much success in these defenses. It's 2 in a row to Okami. They've negated the lead now. It is 4-4. So it really is putting some pressure back onto the shoulders of Noble. On top of that, I reckon Okami would be feeling pretty good right now. They have really successfully attacked these last 2 rounds. And the fact that that has just negated the lead of Noble and the control that Noble had in that first half, I think is going to give so much confidence into that camp of Okami.
Last thing you want to be doing is giving confidence to Okami.
Yes.
That is for sure. You do not want to see them starting to gain any sort of momentum, because as you've seen these last 2 rounds, they are happy to explode and be in your face, or they're happy to take their time and win their 1v1s. That is the danger that is the Okami camp, and Noble obviously would be fully aware of that. Looks like we're seeing a completely different setup from Noble this time, and we're actually seeing Nico on that clash, which he is definitely not shy to bring.
No, we've seen Clash have some serious success in these basement defenses. A few teams in the Oceanic region have brought the Clash, and look, it's made particularly taking Pillar quite tricky, and just dealing in general with that close encounter on site, total pain in the butt. So I expect that's how Nico is going to use it, and it's where Okami going to have to lean on the utility of the likes of Specker, for example. It's probably the biggest counter to the Clash. You could use the Ying Candelas to get close. That's definitely another counter as well, so let's see how Okami deal with it.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Oh, Specker taking an early engagement Looked like it was on to Milo down towards Z there. Regardless, he does force the player back, and now we'll be able to drone all the way in.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
So whether they've spotted Nico on that clash shed or not is another thing, and potentially that could completely change the approach that Okami looked to bring. So far, a bit of a stalemate.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's actually a bit of a difference there. You know, have the clash at Laundry Stairs, but pulling away. Okami right now, they're taking control of the rear stairs, rear tower. Probably looks like they're going to take meeting as well as Noble. Have pretty much decided they're not going to put more presence on the roam, and they have not had presence in blue either. So at some stage, they will have to try and take some more map control. Bistyle has found his way into Garage, so maybe he's looking to be a bit of a counter pusher from this Laundry side.
Swiftly consuming that top side of the map is Okami. The hatch open nice and quickly there. We're earning through a bit of the time. And Jack Duddy obviously will only have one Selma charge should he not have used one already. Nika will... He will still hold from inside blue.
Okami just taking their time to really obtain more control. There is a Banshee they have to worry about too on the right-hand side of this double door, on top of the fact that these gas grenades are really going to stall them out. So Nico has found himself in a solid position here. He's going to be able to repel people trying to push down the rear stairs, and anybody that drops the hatch, to be honest with you, on top of the fact he's going to get the info and the intel to give back to his teammates. So right now, I feel like this round is favoring Noble, but they haven't been able to secure a defense yet. So this needs to be it, Manic. They need to be able to get this defense into the book so they can start to push back against Okami's momentum.
Well, Specker may be the person to look to do so. Derpe was completely flashed out of position. Joker goes down on the back of a C4 here. They are burning through this utility, but 20 seconds left. We know the meta does favor this in the last kind of engagements, but how long, how hard have Noble held? Ippy Style now, he might be a nuisance as he starts to push in. Ippy Style, what can he get done? Oh, absolutely nothing. Milo deleting left, right, and center. What a centerpiece for Noble there. A 5-4 round differential as now Noble take back control.
Milo's only going to be credited with 3 on that, but he downed the 4th. Was so close to getting the ace. I'd say like an extra 1 or 2 seconds. Might have seen an ace out of Milo. Huge round from him. On top of that, I actually felt like the Ying worked against Okami in the end just then. That final Candela flash Specker as he went to push deep on site. If he didn't end up just walking into a corner blind, maybe they could have had more impact as they pushed deep and the plant might have been able to be successful. So, yeah, bit of a negative variable there on the Ying, and now that's Noble finally getting a defense.
Guess the good takeaway, again, it's always about playing devil's advocate here, and the takeaway for Okami, they still put the pressure back on Noble. They still managed to get on site and really cause a bit of confusion. And that is basement. So they can tick both of those boxes and go back to dorms with, I wouldn't say full confidence by any means, but some sort of confidence in that now they may be able to continue on the run that we saw previously.
So back to top floor.
10 seconds left.
Just very strong in the hand of Okami last time we saw it. So
5
what
seconds left
adaptations
before
have Noble made? Again, we've talked a lot about adaptations. And it's something that Noble struggled with on Villa, especially in their attacks. So it's important that they get this right here on these defenses because, you know, if they get this round, Manic, that's it. They're on match point and they have forced at least overtime. It's a pretty big deal. So this round is very important for Okami just to stay at the 5-5 and also just prevent that 6th position of Noble happening.
They definitely need to keep them in that very close grasp, if you will. Selma charge is going to be coming out, but it won't matter. Milo will be able to deny them as they start to open the wall up, but that is now a pretty sufficient line of sight into games. He was a little too far away to deny on the top of that fan, so Specker now will be able to find a free kill Doesn't look like anything's facing him just yet. And he'll sit back and just wait a little bit longer.
On the roam here too in Laundry. So maybe not something that Okami have tabs on. Could be detrimental. Speaking of that, detrimental is losing the ace in the first minute as well, Manic. Big pick from Milo. That's some solid hard breach, no longer available to Okami. They've only got this Maverick now. They look like they want to use it towards Attic, but if they can't get anything happening with Master Wall, it can only serve as a line of sight.
Do keep in mind that Nico would have gone undetected, but it looks like it's probably not going to have the biggest impact there. He has gone back to Freezer. Stairs, Specker. Big fight to win on Milo there. And he gets away. So that was eventually retraded on the ace. Obviously not 1-for-1 when you look at things like that, but still they will be able to hold for a moment longer.
Good Attic presence. Good Attic control from Okami to clear out President. It's a 4v4 situation. It's going to be very crucial for Okami to maintain that in Attic because if Noble can hold it, they're not going to have much teeth to their push. They'll have to funnel through a doorway or a window. Speaking of Ibistal, he is at the double window. We saw some impact of the Ying from this position last time they attacked. So right now it's about Noble just keeping tabs of this position. The drone, very importantly, spotting out a couple. And here we go. Looks like the Ying Candela is going to start coming out. This execute might be happening now, Manic.
Well, Joker taking down one of the first players. It is traded by Nico onto Specker, but they could send it in here, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. Hippie style, he's in first. He's got the support of the player behind him. Joker, he finds a kill off camera. Nico now drops below. They've got a little bit of vertical control. In fact, they've got no sight control here, so they're going to have to hope that they can find these shots underneath. They're not going to be able to deny the plan, and now in a 2 versus 2, unless they can pick up Hippie style, it is going to be quite a hard bring for Noble.
Oh, they're so close to being able to get a 2 for free just there as Ibistal was picked up. Joker's been down. The other 2 are low HP, Manic. This is definitely doable, but Cutie steps up yet again for Okami, getting the pick on Nico, all up to Derpe. He's trying to get the pick in towards Kids, just baiting out where these final players are, but not getting much info. Pete comes out, but doesn't get it. Ibistal closes it out for Okami. We move to 5-5.
And I would say even in that round, it looked like Noble had a lot of the control, obviously up until the last couple of, well, probably the last minutes is when it really fell apart. But they really looked like they'd started off on the right foot, taking down the ace, putting a little bit of pressure, holding Attic for a little bit longer. This Ying, though, do you think that this is really what's having a larger impact than potentially Noble may have expected?
Yeah, maybe they didn't think that it's something that Okami would flex onto, and they weren't expecting to have to deal with it. And I think it's something that they definitely wanted to use themselves. But yeah, they have struggled a bit with it, and there's not much else they can really do about it because that Jaeger is banned. They can only use Wamaya to stop the Candelas from going where is intended. But other than that, you bring maybe the Warden just to totally look into the flashes and be like, I'm just going to take the gunfight. That's really all you can do.
I just realized, I don't think we ended up seeing Warden play, did we? We saw him picked, but he wasn't played. I'm devastated. That was the rehost round, right?
I think he was played. I now I can't remember, man.
I remember he was picked, and then we got a rehost, and I'm trying to think if we were graced with his presence or not. It's still in my head. And anyway, we are going to see the full regulation, ladies and gentlemen. So one way or another, we're either going to overtime, or this could potentially be map 3 or all done and dusted in 2 for Okami. And honestly, the way the Oceanic Nationals season went, this does not surprise me that this is how close it's being in the first quarterfinal. And we knew that this game in particular was going to be close because, well, the fact of the matter is Noble is in a very good team, and Okami have been on such a great upward trajectory ever since halfway through their Oceanic Nationals journey. So to expect anything less would have been utterly disappointing.
That it would be. Right now, Okami, again, top floor attack, favoring with the ace to put pressure in towards games. Selma on the wall, they've used the verticals to clear the mute jammer. So right now, this is already very good control coming up from Okami. Sounds like the Selma was impact tricked though, but it's still a line of sight, and it proved effective for Specker last time. He got a kill onto Milo using that line of sight.
Nico's still just running down and around. Specker would more than likely know his positioning there, but that is Ippy style off the board. That is such a massive part of what Okami have been able to do, Raven. And if Specker can't trade this back, Noble may have just really put a spanner in the works.
Yeah, hugely important. They have no idea either where Nico is. He's going to get Specker. Big deal there. 3 versus 5 in favor of Noble. They look like they're almost ready to move to match point, but stranger things have happened, Manic. There's still a lot of time to go for Okami.
Be more right as well. Nico, however, still looms large downstairs, and Joker is over solo on big tower stairs, sorry. So that could potentially be huge. Tries to C4 through the flooring and won't find anything. Joker hearing and besting him in that situation of wits. But Jack Daddy now, he's going to push into the side. He might be able to find the Malusi off the board. That he does. And now he's got control. Just of games and just for now.
He's going to have to back away though. He didn't take Kit with him, so he's gone back and got Diffuser. He's going to try and retake the control that he had. Drone spotting out that player in Kids from Cutie. He's going to have to deal with jumping in that window as Joker pinches from Attic. So Okami all split here. There's a 3-pronged attack that Okami have to be ready to deal with. So much info on the side of Noble. So here we go, 15 seconds, mate.
Nico's still behind as well. Jack Daddy knows exactly his positioning. He'll tear his head down. The smoke comes in. Joker will find President. Surely Okami have not made this work. It's Fisher Guy against the world. And oh my word, is there a moment of belief? No, not past Joker, who has had an incredible performance in the past 2 rounds. Okami head to match point.
Absolutely huge round from Okami. It was 3v5. We said, you know, it felt like Noble were going to get that one, but Okami just brought it back. The 3-pronged attack worked a treat. Everyone hitting their shot. Unfortunately, that perfect start to the rounds there didn't eventuate for Noble. And now they're fighting just to keep the series alive, Manny.
Poofed. That's I mean, I kind of said it jokingly at the very beginning about the fact that this was really looking like it was a repeat of map number 1, in which we saw a 5-1 defensive half. And that still went to overtime. I really did not expect Okami to claw this back, and they've done exactly that. We will see the clash being brought back for Nico. And this was the round that they ended up winning, regardless of how impactful Nico had been. But all in all, Okami set to close this quarterfinal out in just 2 maps.
Right now, it is definitely balancing for Noble. On top of that, Okami, they did a very, very alluring 6-pick for me at least, and that is subbing the ace for the Lion. So not bringing the solid hard breach that you expect from that ace, and they're just going to use Lion, I'm going to say, to facilitate an aggressive push. I feel like this is Okami trying to do some kind of catch you off guard play. I don't know. It's my gut feeling at least, but not bringing the ace. And here we go. They're all going to blue. We might see a rush here from the bunker.
Doing their due diligence, even on a rush, sorry. The show guy now spotted out. And here we go. This has to be it. This has to be where we see them go large, go deep, or go home. Not really. They don't have to go home. Not just yet. In comes the Lion charge. The Ying Candelas are thrown out. They're now going to take control of blue. They've found one. Have they found a second? It is going to be the clash that's sitting behind. So no. But Specker taking down President. It's utter mayhem for Okami here. And there have been trades. Noble, they fight back, but only just. Joker can't find the angle. Raven what on earth have we just seen in the first a minute of this game?
An absolute bullying from Okami. And again, that line pick, huge and instrumental in being able to make that happen. They've got a huge man advantage now. With still 2 minutes to go, by the way. Derpe, all the timing on that. This might help a little bit here. Lionscared comes out. Jack Dad and Joker. They've got 2 to find. Nico with the shield in his face. And Derpe on low HP. This is very winnable still for Okami.
If ever there was a moment to do it, this really is the only moment you have. And Jack Daddy trying to pre-fire around the corner here. That clash is just going to be such a... Now that the Banshee's gone, though, it makes things a little bit more complicated for Nico in this position. There are no more nades. There are no more flashes. Everyone depleted of their gadgets. And Raven, it is just come down to what is a Mexican stand right now.
It is. And it's so important and well played right now is Derpe's patience. Because as soon as he peeks, that's it. And he gets the shot. Huge pick, and they might have saved this Matic. Joker, he knows where Derpe is. He only needs to hit 1 bullet. Nico, being such a pest, he gets downed on the hip fire. This is it. It's a duel to save the match right now. All on Nico on this clash.
Oh, Nico!
Oh, Nico!
Massive play from the clash to salvage that round that looked all but out of control. 6-6 to overtime we go, and what a way we are closing this one out. I don't even care if we head to a third. That was everything I needed.
Oh, that was beautifully played by Nico. The whole round, honestly, beautifully played by Nico. Honestly, if there was any other operator besides the Clash that Nico was playing just then, I think this would have been GG. But the Clash survived the pre-fire on the rush, just constantly fed the intel, and Derpe played the patience to perfection just then. And the turtle spin to finish it off, just well executed by Noble under the immense pressure of that Okami rush.
Well, what an interesting finish we have for what is map number 2. Just a reminder, Noble have literally clawed back the final round in which they could have been out of the playoffs altogether. There is no lower bracket for the quarterfinals. It is only from the semifinals onwards. So that, in the context of everything that has been the season for Noble, is huge. And it gives them another lifeline. It gives them another chance. This time, Okami will be heading to their defense, so they will have the preferred side to begin with. And Joker on that Warden, I'm very keen to see whether it has a large or no impact at all.
Yeah, see whether it does help with this adaptation to the Ying. Definitely keen to see if it works out. Bissell reprising the role on the Wamai. Looks like they're going to be holding it pretty standard, but you know what's actually not standard? No SAS operators, no mute, no smoke. Usually a really big part of the laundry defenses are either or both of those operators. So I am very curious to see how this works out for Okami.
Well, they certainly haven't played it in a what we would consider traditional sense. It's been a lot more aggressive in blue, with Jack Daddy generally poking. I guess that's true. Peeking on the Ella. And then obviously a secondary fallback position if the blue is not held. Joker can hold from Cubby a little bit deeper there. Nico just with some pre-fires, which apparently nearly found him the first couple in the first round. But Milo going down in the engagement with Specker does not start Noble out on the right foot.
No, it doesn't. And actually, he's been a big pest in Freezer, on Freezer stairs, every time that Noble have attacked this basement site. So I think that's a good read from Specker to not back down and to really, stand up for that gunfight. It's worked out really, really well. So this is a good start for Okami. Noble have got control of the rear tower stairs and meeting, though, at least. Pretty important map control to get for this, because they need to get this hatch open. We'll put pressure back on towards the site. But I have to say, losing Milo, he's had a good map so far. I think it's a big dent in this Noble attack.
Time is burning away here for Noble, and they really have to put a little bit of pressure on Okami here. So far, it does not look like they've really had anything that has caused them such stress. And they are all stuck in that meeting position, looking to the big tower stairs here, Raven.
They are, and still with the man deficit too. Cutie tucked away to the hard right of these stairs. He's looking to get aggressive again. It was Cutie that's won this for Okami before. There he goes. He gets Nico. Gives them a 2-man lead. Really big, important lead at that. So here we go, 30 seconds. It's looking like Okami might be moving back up to match point.
It is not looking good for Noble, and the Ying may give some sort of support for that player coming in from the outer blue. Derpe now dropping in. He will be able to find at least one of the players, but he can't connect, and it is an onslaught from Okami. They will secure match point in overtime once more. And they have really stepped it up here in this second matchup.
Hugely. And right now, again, the pressure goes back onto Noble. They are down match point in overtime. Feels very Villa-like right now. And they are on the defense. They're going to go to Laundry, which I'm a little surprised about. You know, I felt like their Laundry defenses haven't been that convincing. Maybe there wasn't a stout sight for me in general, to be honest, with Noble's defenses. So
yeah,
they're going to go for this, and they're showing a Warden on top of that.
A Warden and a Clash. Obviously, that will... I'm very excited to see how that works, because that Clash caused all sorts of problems in that previous round. Like you said, had it not have been for Nico, you would almost say that Derpe was going to be taken out there. 1 HP. Nico was really the only thing that stood in between annihilation for Noble in this playoffs bracket and really what is now a potential lifeline, a chance in this. Nico is not on side at all.
No, he's just going to go on a solid roam here, barricading all these doors on the top floor. Might be a thing for later. I don't know. This is it's going to be something to keep an eye on for sure as he does move back to site. This time, of course, there isn't the Lion on the side of Okami, so not going to be the rush this time. I mean, there's still good rush, but Lion really helps with them to be able to get that progress with the defenders not able to move. It is Fisher that's going to be holding in this extension towards blue, so not going to be able to be flushed out with that Ying easily, at least.
Yeah. And we saw just in the replay of the last round there, it obviously for Joker had a little bit of an aid in that push that they were trying to get into blue there, but I don't think it really changed the tides of the round. However, it could do this time around. Hippie style, making sure no one's going to be peeking early. Cubby and Joker was looking, rather Fisho guy, sorry. He was getting mixed up. Fisho guy was looking like at least pushing for that drone. He gets it and backs away. 2 minutes left now. TikTok and util now being used to potentially attempt to displace one of these players, if not both.
Yeah, deciding to go for the Ying first, but again, this Candela is not going to be effective. The frag grenade will be, though. Doesn't get the pick as Milo gets Ipisile. So the Ying completely negated, not able to push the Warden quick enough or at all because of the abilities. And now fragged out. So this is a good spot for Noble to be in. Still half the rounds to play, though. It's never safe as Nico looks to get aggressive and just see how many people are actually still in blue.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
The lack of ace could potentially... No, there he is. He's coming across. Potentially that could be a little bit harder to try and make anything work over toward blue, as you can still play at the back of pillar with no real pressure on you. Specking out. He displaced that Banshee, free to do so as well. A minute, and it still feels like Okami are making somewhat decent time here, Raven.
Yeah, still got a bit of time, but it feels like they haven't been able to too effectively displace the defenders, especially with this clash in the way, getting so much info at pillar here. The defense can really play around that and play off that info. And Okami just going to leg it. They're going to try and push towards this clash. C4 missing the mark, does do quite a bit of damage. And that's 30 seconds eroded. It's really starting to put this pressure back onto Okami. They have to get something happening here. Otherwise, we're going to be seeing a 7-7.
They will open up the line, so it'll give them something to try and fight into sight with. Nico, though, you just have to assume that he's going to be pretty much everything that Noble need at this point. He's just going to be able to give so much intel. Joker trying to bait out something here. There's 5 seconds left. C4 comes over the top. That should be it for Okami. Cutie, though, he does make it possible. Specker will be able to stick it. They can hold this right now. Okami, though, it's Nico once again that steps up for Noble when it's needed. And they confirm the round and force us to the last possible round for a decider.
Couldn't have gone any other way if you ask me, Manic. Here we go. Final round. Noble fighting to stay alive in the series. Of course, being the best of 3. If Noble lose this, it is GG. But if they win this round, we will go to Consulate. There's Okami on defense now. They're going to go to that top floor. And look, I'm surprised because... Oh, no, actually, they already won Laundry, didn't they? Oh, I'm cool.
Yes,
Don't worry.
yes.
Ignore me. But they're going to go to kids' dorms, which wasn't successful for them at all in their defense half. So, could be indicating to a Noble victory right now.
Attackers need to
Yeah, funnily enough, on a map that we've generally seen be defender-sided, it's been anything but, and really those last 2 rounds on the basement defense have been probably the most successful we've seen thus far. Couldn't imagine what it would be like for Okami turning the corner and seeing the clash again after he denied you little less than 2 rounds ago.
Yeah.
But this is all going to come down to Okami now. This, you know, I think that Noble will definitely have a good look in this round, but for me, it's going to come down to how Okami decide to adapt here. And potentially, you know, the Warden could give them a little bit more protection, as we were saying, from that Ying earlier. So
Yep.
It is Solano, Raven. There are no second chances for anyone.
Yeah, really risking it. Of course, Joker is normally the smoke player for Okami as well, so not too much lost on his weaponry. That being said, I did say he's bringing the MPX, it looked like, so not using the shotgun. Specker must be the one using that shotgun for the rotates. And I guess they felt like the Warden's going to have enough of an effect to counter the Ying to stick that. Jack Daddy, in fact, is solo roaming down in kitchen. Noble get some intel on this early. They could get a really nasty pinch, and that will give them a solid man advantage. I say that though, and Specker has dropped below to join him. So maybe not as sketchy as initially suspected.
Noble not rushing to really decide on anything just yet. They will cut across the map and decide what their best point of attack is, obviously needing to put a little bit of pressure no matter where they're going. They need to ensure that Okami are not just settled. And Fisher Guy once again on the back of President's drone. It will allow him to get that control of Trophy, and with that now, he can hold a little bit more stabler, if you will.
Aggressive push from Milo and Trophy. So really just trying to get that defense alarmed, and Fisher Guy is just going to make some nice little holes there that he can use later to potentially cover plant or cover the rotate in from attic. It's really all looks like they're using it for right now. And I think this has been a slower push than we saw from Noble in the previous attempts at attacking this side at least.
Definitely agree with that. Trying to force this player out from that small step. Oh, well, that's a very big kill from Specker, and he'll get away as well. I don't think there's anyone there from Noble to deny him access back to sites, and Jack Daddy's there to support as well. So even if that player pushes into Z, which was Nico, there was pretty much no chance of him getting away with his life. What a start for Okami in this one.
Yep, big one. 30 seconds. Solid pick. Got some really big advantages right now. Nico's going to go hunting to try and find a pick. He sees the player instead. It's Jack Dad, gets it. 4 versus 4 with 20 seconds Manic. This is Noble fighting to stay alive in the Oceanic Nationals.
That's it, reiterating, if they lose, they are out, they are done. And Specker, he's looking to put a nail in the coffin here. Fisho can't get more done than the one, but they're still fighting here, Noble. They're still trying to make it work. Jogra, what on earth is that from Specker? Ring a Rosie. He'll fall with a 3K in the last round. Oh my word, he has sent Noble home packing, and Okami go through to the semi-finals on the back of a clean sweep.
Oh yeah, it was a clean sweep, but I don't know whether you'd call the sweep particularly clean, you know? It was a very, very close series between these two guys, but at the end, Okami looked performance. They were challenged thoroughly by Noble, but they've come out on top. And with that knife, to end the round, Specker puts a knife into Noble's season. That's it. As we said at the start, no lower bracket. That is Noble out of the Oceanic National Playoffs.
That's it. And I mean, we expected this to be the result. Many at home expected this to be the result, but I don't think many of us expected it to be as close as what it was. An 8-6 overtime match on Villa, and then an 8-7 on Oregon just then for Okami to solidify their place against Wildcard later today. But I really honestly didn't expect it to be as closely contested on both maps as what it was, Raven.
Yeah, and look, it was a bit of an interesting affair, a strange affair, where we had very one-sided halves, pretty much. But either way, we still came to overtime. So a distant but close affair at the same time. It was a bit strange, but I think Noble showed up pretty well. There were definitely some big positives to them compared to some of the performances we saw late in the regular season. But it just wasn't quite enough. And I think it just came back to Okami. They have really peaked at the tail end of this season. They are looking in strong form.
They certainly have. And I think that that's a really great point to continue moving off the back of, is the form that Okami had at the end of the season. It is showing now. And of course, maybe not in the same light as what we would have expected, but this is still a great start for them in the playoffs. And I mean, the unfortunate side of a great start for Okami means a poor start for Noble, and that is them out of the playoffs altogether. But still, when you consider the performance, they really fought for that. There were not many rounds that weren't hard contested at the very least.
Yeah, look, they did. They really fought for it. Even that last round, 7-7, the round to keep them alive and push us to map 3, it was trades. They had the man disadvantage going to the final 30 seconds, but they just tried to fight tooth and nail. It really came down to almost a 1v1, but Specker just too strong. And yeah, I think Noble, and it's not going to feel great that they're out already, but they can look at some positives from this matchup at least.
Well, they have to, because at the end of the day, 2 overtime matches, you know, I think that kind of sums up the season for Noble as well, with the way that they've been performing. I mean, it's a shame that they've gone out in this fashion, but at the same time, like we're saying, they really made them work for it. And I think, you know, props to Nico, Fisho, Derpe, Milo, and President. There were many rounds there especially on Oregon, where we thought this could be it. We could be seeing Consulate. And like we were saying, Raven, we really did not know what was going to happen on Consulate. There's really no information that we have that could have really given us an insight as to who that swayed to. So should we have gone there? Man, it was anyone's game.
Yeah, I think the only thing you could really come to expect is that it probably would have also gone to overtime. I feel like that was the only definite in this series, is that we were going to see 3 overtime maps, or overtime on every map that was played, however you want to look at it. But look, I think Okami going into their matchup against Wildcard, they're going to have some confidence coming out of this. They really had some challenges, and they rose atop of it. They adapted, and I think a lot of their play is going to make them feel, pretty comfortable coming into that matchup.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, we actually have Nico on the other side of the line, so we can have a chat with him and have a little bit more insight as to how we thought that matchup went. It was 2 very close games, mate, and I think that realistically we were saying it could have gone either way, and I think that there were many rounds where we thought that you guys had Oregon and we were headed to Consulate. So do you want to just give me like a little bit of insight, because you guys came out swinging. You were fully prepared for what they were doing on their defensive half, weren't you?
Oh, we're ready for everything except for winning.
Yeah, it's a bit rough, man. Look, I want to ask about Consulate. We didn't really get to see it, but I have a sneaky suspicion that maybe you guys were really going to be backing yourselves into that. Was that a map that you had been saving or preparing for a tight situation like this?
Yes, you're pretty much spot on with that one. I mean, not really. Every map is normally like throughout the whole like series. Of course, you have like exact specific maps that you want to prepare, but towards like nearing the end, we're sort of like widening our range of maps. So like that sort of came in instead of being excluded constantly. So.
Well, it is a shame, but I'm not gonna lie. You had some pretty big rounds in there with Clash. Was the Clash kind of like a mid-game adaptation, or what was the thought process behind that?
I mean, I don't play it much, but it's one of those cheese ops. It's like, I'll just jump on it. I'll play it. You're a stand, whatever. Let's do it.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I do want to ask a quick question about Ying as well. Was the Ying picks from you guys, because you kind of pioneered it in that first half, right? Was that a substance of the Jaeger ban, or was the Ying pick something you guys were always planning to do regardless?
Well, now that like the whole, I don't know, it feels like the whole smoke Ying kind of meta with the push is coming back in. I mean, anytime's the time to jump onto that. It's just a matter of if you can use it. They're pretty inconsistent though, so I don't know if anyone wants to like stick with it, but when used in the right way, it's definitely a killer.
Well, I will let you go. Unfortunate that you are bowing out so early, but I am sure that we will see you back in fighting form come next March, I believe, which is when the season kicks off again.
Yes, we got quite the break.
We do, my guy. Thank you very much for joining us, mate. It's always a pleasure.
All right, have a good day, guys.
So there you have it. It's, I mean, it does kind of surprise me that the Clash is just a random pick that works out really well, but that just tends to be the way it is sometimes. And I think the question about, the Ying being brought when the Jaeger's banned, I think that is a very good question, especially for us viewers at home, like kind of looking into the glass house, if you will. We can see some things, but we can't see others. So I think overall that they were happy. They were happy with some of their performance, but it definitely didn't look like that was the Noble that we knew at the start of the season. Yeah,
I mean, that's been a struggle since their victory against Wildcard, basically, is they haven't been able to replicate such strong performances. It's just been a little bit inconsistent for them, and sometimes that's just how it is. They did have a roster change at the start of the season. They've brought in President, because of course they did lose Vincier to Wildcard. But at the end of the day, it's just that's the struggle as a team, is finding your consistency. They haven't quite found theirs yet, but look, I think they put up a really great fight against Okami. They've got a lot that they can build on to, ready for next season, and I don't think we'll be seeing the end of the team, that's for sure.
No, not by any means. But you spoke about consistency. One team we saw that were consistent was Okami. We've got Specker on the line, who always is in for a good interview, and I'm sure it is going to be all but happy days for you from here, Specker. Before we get into the nitty-gritties of it all, very nice 3K to close out the map, by the way.
That was a bit spicy. So basically we had, we switched out to the Warden because Ying was coming in and tearing up a bit of havoc, and I had to make all the rotates, all the verticality of the shotgun. So I'm in there at that last little moment, got my SMG-11 out. That poor buddy's only got 17 bullets, right? And next thing you know, I think this guy pushes all the way around me, does loop the loop, and I'm like, oh God, just hit the knife, ticket, sorted.
Yeah, look, it was a great way to end the game. But in general, the series, you guys looked really strong again. I want to start looking forward. In fact, you guys have wildcard later. So after your performance today, right now against Noble, how's the vibe going into that wildcard series?
Good. We're not really threatened by anyone in the scene. I think this season's pretty much anyone's. I feel like wildcards, sure, they've gotten a bit more confident, I suppose, but our match against them was incredibly tight. And that was with us regarding that we weren't really doing a good bit of performance. So should be a nice game. We'll see what happens with the vetoes, see how that plays out. They've been chilling this morning, but we should be feeling warm coming into it, to be honest. We got like, what, a little 3-hour break or something whenever this next match finishes. But yeah, feeling confident, feeling good. Should be sweet.
Yeah. I just want to very quickly ask about the Oregon matchup. Were you guys feeling like in that first half your number was just being picked by Noble? Because it felt like, again, from the broadcast perspective, it really felt like Noble had a good read on most of the things that you guys were trying to get done.
Yeah, for sure. Again, we have a lot of content on us in Oregon. You know, we've played it a fair few times.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. The Jaeger ban was interesting. We definitely took a little bit to adapt to it in regards to we had Warden on the board and we didn't bring him for, I think, the first 2 or 3 rounds, which is pretty dumb. And we're like, man, how do we stop, you know, getting white? Because quite literally, it's like that full-on image. I think it was one of JKS, yonks ago from CS. And it's like, oh, bro, you sure they're executing on site? And JKS is there white as. He's like, yeah, man, I think they're rushing. Like, you know, it's quite literally that. You just have all these incandelas, boom, 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 exploding off everywhere, and it was pretty hectic. Nades rolling out. So once we managed to pick up the tempo and start setting our own pace, you know, we're very comfortable. And I don't know, I felt pretty convinced that we're going to be winning that 2-0. I genuinely think our Villa, we should have won a lot more convincingly, though. We really had a few shocking attack rounds there where we had the advantage and we kind of threw it away, or, you know, something got caught up, whether it's, you know, early morning rust, nerves, call it what you want, but it was a start, not a bit of good gameplay. I genuinely think Villa should have been like a 7-2. But Oregon was definitely a contested map. That Jaeger ban was, yeah, sure interesting. So well done to them.
Raven, any more questions?
I'm all good. I'm just serious. I'll tell you what, after that.
Am I doing good or bad then if I got no questions? Oh, God, boys.
Good, mate. It's good.
Well,
It's good.
We're going to hear from you again no matter what happens. So we'll see you a little bit later in that matchup against Wildcard, and we wish you the best of luck.
Perfect. Look forward to it, gentlemen. Have a good one. Cheers.
Take care, Spec. Beautiful. And again, we are all high hopes heading into the Wildcard matchup, which they will have after this next match. Obviously, Elevate and LFO play up next, but later on, it's going to be a little bit more spicy. So you can see right there, the quarterfinal number 1 done and dusted. Elevate and LFO come up next. Any thoughts heading into that, Raven?
I think Elevate LFO is also going to be very exciting because, yeah, LFO, they did get the jump on Elevate in the regular season, beat them in quite a surprise matchup. It was LFO's first victory for the entire season on top of that. So Elevate are totally going to be out for retribution here. They were not happy with how that match went. And right now in this best of 3 series, I feel like Elevate are going to be backing themselves. But there's just something about LFO, you know, you never know what they're going to bring out that might get them some map wins.
No, that's for sure. It's so dangerous. They're just dangerous, period. They even had a pretty close season, so it's something to keep your eyes on. But Okami and Wildcard will be the first semi-final, actually, and that will be later on tonight after that matchup. So I'm really keen to see that because I think in a best of 3, I would not be surprised if we go all the way in that one.
Yeah, I'm feeling like that might be a 3-mapper as well. I mean, Wildcard, they finished on top. They look like they've really regained some strength, but in that final play day of the regular season, it was a 7-5 victory to Wildcard on Oregon. So it was close. Okami challenged them, and Okami are now warmed up. They got the game later. I think 3 maps is definitely totally in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, it's on the cards for Wildcard. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is good one. That's Raven and I done for right now. You've got Guz and Xenox on the other side of this break with Elevate and LFO. Don't go anywhere. It's sure to be a good one.